Here we are. It's Lit Book Reviews is back at it again. With me today, as always, is Selma Hayek. And, of course, your favorite, Patrick Wilson. Just pulling these out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
We're here again today. We are going to be talking about Brandon Sanderson's Oathbringer, the third in the Stormlight Archive. I just finished this today, actually. When did you read it? How long has it been?
I'm not sure. I read it I think I read it this year.
Yeah, it was this year. I'm pretty sure early. Yeah, so a matter of months.
I think maybe January.
Yeah. So, if you guys have been watching anything or keeping up, we've mentioned Brandon Sanderson and Stormlight in almost every other video. So we are hyped to talk about this one now. Just to preface, we are talking about the third book in a series, and we do not currently have videos up of the other two books that came before it, The Way of Kings and Words of Radiance, because we had read those before we started this. And we do want to try our best to, only review books as we read them and not go back and try to just pull from memory or rip stuff off the internet. It's nice when it's fresh for at least one of us. But before we get into Oathbringer, to discuss Way of Kings and Words of Radiance a bit, Way of Kings is the first one. It's obviously amazing. Looking back, it seems like there's way more setup because you just don't realize it. But at the time when you're reading The Way of Kings, it feels super immersive and amazing. You're getting just so much information and a bunch of questions. And then Words of Radiance. I mean, that was my third favorite book of all time until I read Oathbringer, and Oathbringer just took over that slot immediately. So, your thoughts on the first two, briefly?
So, I mean, like we've talked about before, it's just like a progression of, not buy-in, but progression of the stakes can't get higher, and then they just get higher. And I know I've talked with you about this, but it's like book one, you kind of unlock level 1 of understanding of Roshar, and then book 2, you unlock the second level, and you think okay, this is it. And then I think in book 3, which we'll talk about when we get into spoilers, in Oathbringer, you kind of get that final okay, now after I feel like you've read Oathbringer, you can kind of have more conversations about the Cosmere and the implications of the Cosmere, just because you know way more, and you're kind of just let onto almost the final level, which I wouldn't be shocked if there's another level after. But as far as I've already read Rhythm of War, knowing what I know, I mean, there's not necessarily that unlock. I mean, stuff still is insanely crazy what's happening, but it's crazy how he has the skill to make the stakes higher and higher every time when you just don't think that's possible. Because going back, we've talked about, I mean, the Way of Kings almost doesn't matter when you're at this point. I mean, but when you're reading Way of Kings, there's no way you can know why it has,
and it matters so much.
Yeah,
it matters. Everything you see matters so much.
So he does such a good job, especially starting off with Kaladin and as the backstory character. And I mean, the POV characters kind of stay the same, I feel like, throughout the series for the most part. But at least the 4 main ones being Dalinar, and maybe that's a spoiler, but I feel like it's not. That it's Dalinar, Kaladin, Shallan, I guess it's 3, are the 3 main POV characters throughout where we're at so far in the series. But, I mean, The Way of Kings, man, was what first really got me, I would say, deep into fantasy, and then I'm glad I was able to convince you to read it, because there's just so much to unpack and talk about. Even just, I mean, obviously with Oathbringer, who knows how long this video is going to be, but there's just so many nuances of how he sets so many things up. I mean, even if you just go over, and that's what I was looking at, is the way he sets his books up by always having the prequel or the prologue be the same event, and it's just a different person's POV of that event, is wild. And then
you just get so much more context for the same night in each,
and it changes everything every time you learn something, or every time you read it from a different perspective. And then for him to always end with wit, it's just the way he sets up those little things. I mean, it's such a great touch but he also uses it to add depth. It's not like he's just doing it just to do it. It's just crazy what he's really thought of to do. And dude, that's what I read was the background characters of what he's doing by picking each background character.
When you say background character, what do you mean?
I almost can't even go into it. We'll have to wait for spoilers.
Okay. Okay, so that's Way of Kings, Words of Radiance. If you're watching this video and you haven't read those books, you do not need to watch much of this video. We'll let you know when spoilers begin, but really, it's hard when you're talking about the Stormlight Archive to talk about almost anything and it not be a spoiler. So just keep that in mind. But from our perspective, this series, I mean, to me, this is the best fantasy series I've ever read.
Yeah.
I have not read a lot of fantasy, though. You have read a lot more, and you agree. Sanderson is a god. Yeah. Sanderson is a god. And this is, even according to him, like, this is his best work, just as far as, like, how he's progressed as a writer. So, yeah, everything about this is amazing. And just to kind of give our, spoiler-free review just for Oathbringer, I mean, it's so cliche to say I laughed, I cried.
Oh, dude.
I got up out of my seat or out of my bed multiple times, like pacing the room, like, oh my God, what? Like screaming,
you
like
the book
yelling.
One time?
Yeah, I wanted to. I wanted to throw my book into like just down the stairs at one point out of just anger for a particular thing that we'll get into. But like good anger, like it was great for the story, but it things make you mad even when when it's good,
dude.
Yeah,
he's just so good at drawing you out and making those emotions happen. And I mean, it's a ride, dude.
It's a ride.
Oathbringer's a ride, but I mean, when you were talking about you only had 300,
you got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, but when you were talking about you only had 300 pages left, dude, I genuinely was like, I wish that I could transport myself back in time, and experience that again for the first time. Because it's just, if you've somehow read the first two books and you're not bought in, I don't know what's going on with you in the first place. But this book, it only gets better. Like
it only gets better.
As good as you think Words of Radiance is, which again, that was my all-time favorite book. Well, second like favorite book of all time before I read Oathbringer, and then it just got bumped down. So it's like, it's not like Words of Radiance is anything to like shy away from. It's just Oathbringer is that good as far as like fulfilling things that he starts in Words of Radiance. But I mean, be ready to cry. This one's, I think, the darkest one.
Oh man,
for sure.
So many moments that are tough.
Oh, dark.
I mean,
get ready to really start hating some characters too.
But like also get ready to love characters even more than you already do.
Yeah.
Like in big ways.
And I just, this is kind of a spoiler, but I'm not even going to give it enough context for it to really be one. I just appreciate that Brandon Sanderson, he doesn't have plot armor around every single character.
No.
So, whereas before in the first two books, well, I guess not. But, because someone big dies in Words of Radiance, but
you can. I think you can say that.
When does that revealed like at the end of Words of Radiance?
Oh wait, yeah,
or is
I
that
guess
an Oathbringer thing?
Yeah, that's an oath. Well, it's the very end of Words of Radiance, but it's we should probably stay away from that one.
Yeah, just in case the word spoilers. But anyway, it's just, it's not like every character is safe. So like, which is cool to know. I mean, I like that personally because I like the more grimdark stuff where I like it when. I mean, it sucks, but, it just gives you more buy-in because you don't know.
You're so much more invested.
Yeah.
So much more investiture is there.
For sure.
Yeah, and I would just say, kind of to end the non-spoiler, because there's really not a lot we can say and not spoil things. Obviously, again, if you haven't read the first two, you need to read them, but, I mean, it is a wild ride. This is a 1,300-page book, and there was no point in the book where I was like, all right, I'm kind of bored of where I'm at right now. Yeah. There was no point. Even with characters that I sometimes feel that way about, I did not get this feeling in Oathbringer because, again, kind of what you were saying, the stakes get so much higher, which means that there's carryover from each book. So, like, when you read Words of Radiance, you were like, oh, man, this stuff from Way of Kings is now getting answered. Reading Oathbringer after what happened in Words of Radiance is mind-blowing, dude. It's mind-blowing. So, if you're a lover of fantasy or you're just a lover of books, this is for you.
Yeah. It also, to me, it doesn't go the way I thought it was going to go at all.
No.
Like the path at all, just with the first, like just even in the first half.
Yes.
Of like what happens, I just didn't expect Brandon Sanderson to go that way.
But especially the second half, bro.
Then the second half was, you have no idea. But I mean,
no idea what's going to happen.
But the first half, it's like, that's interesting that, anyway, so it's just, you're not going to, I mean, not that, Sanderson's predictable in the first place, but it's just, it's so original and it's so good, and he continues on like these ideas that are already original and like somehow makes them more original. It's just
And just to add to the non-spoiler review, like take like Game of Thrones the show, if you've watched that or if you've heard about it, how one of the big things that was always talked about around it was, oh, there's so much going on, there's so many characters, and the way they're woven together is perfect. Bro, Brandon Sanderson has upped that to the nth degree.
Oh, it's not even close.
Like there are big characters that are impacting trickle down like so many different things, but then you'll just get a 3-page interlude chapter of a character you've never heard of, and you're like, what? Yeah. What does this mean? And it just adds so much to the story.
That, and then if you've read anything else in the Cosmere, which we'll get into spoilers too, I mean, that's a whole nother thing. Like, I mean, if you've read any of his other books, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It's like this almost doesn't even matter in the story.
Especially
but like
Warbreaker. We haven't read Mistborn, so we can't know.
We've only read Warbreaker. The thing that was wild is we've only read one other book in the Cosmere. And it already, can you imagine? I'm sure there's so many other things we're missing. Yeah,
and luckily we do know some of the stuff from Mistborn because we've talked about it, and some of it's just known, like the metal stuff or whatever, and I won't get into it. So there's some stuff where I go, oh, that's Mistborn-esque.
Yeah.
But Warbreaker alone, there were so many things in this book where I was like, thank God I've read Warbreaker. So anything else non-spoiler?
Do we even need to give it a rating? I mean,
it is an absolute. It's an absolute 150 out of 5.
So to go over the stats, I mean, it's 4.62, which I mean, won a Goodreads Choice Award, 200,000 ratings, 2017 publishing date. I guess I just didn't. That's just crazy to think, man. We're in 2023, dude. 6 years ago. It took us 6 years to find this.
Man, it kind of hurts, but at the same time, I'm so glad that I've just read it.
Because can you imagine having to wait like the whole length of time for every time he releases a book? Because thankfully, like I just finished Rhythm of War. Jesse's about to start it. You'll finish it. I feel like in a good time to where you're not gonna have to wait that long. For the next book, and
again, we still have all this other Cosmere stuff, the Elantris stuff, the Mistborn stuff. So,
but I mean, obviously, I don't. If you've gotten to this point, I mean, and you don't, if you stop, can you imagine just stopping at Words of Radiance?
No.
I mean,
no. I mean, I can't imagine stopping at any point once you've started The Way of Kings. I mean, there's just so much, and again,
to your boy who did, but
that's only for a brief amount of time, but Sanderson's also just so good at making you care so much about characters, like even ones that you haven't gotten that much information on. I mean, you just care so much to see not only like about them and about like their safety and their story, but just like it's just so impactful, man. He does such a good job of making you understand them, so you're very concerned, like, how's this person going to react to this situation? Like, I don't know, because of who they are, and that gets upended in some ways in this book, because you're like, I mean, again, I'm about to get into spoilers. Is there anything else before we can start spoiling stuff? Because I'm really walking on ice over here. All right, we're heading into spoilers now. That's the new spoiler noise. All right, dude.
What's the first thing, dude? What's the first thing?
I don't even know what the first thing I want to say is.
Dude, the first thing I want to know is, all right, what blew your mind the most? I mean, I know it's such a tough question because there's so many, but there's one thing. Can you guess what I think is, like, in the analogy I always give of, like, okay, level 1 in, like, The Way of Kings is, like, realizing, okay, there are Spren. You don't know what they are, but realizing Syl's a Spren and realizing Kaladin, like, somehow has power, and it's through Stormlight. You don't really necessarily know what any of that means, but you realize, okay, somehow through the Stormlight and this Spren, like, you can gain powers. Then in Words of Radiance, you realize, and I guess kind of the end of Way of Kings, into Words of Radiance, you realize, oh, like, you can say an oath, and then the Spren becomes a Shardblade. And then that in turn then leads for you to gain more powers. And then you kind of learn about this structure of, like, okay, once you say this ideal, you get these powers. Once you kind of do another ideal, you get these powers. And it's kind of like gray. But I would say towards the end of Words of Radiance, you understand for the most part that. To me, there's another level in Oathbringer that maybe necessarily isn't about powers. It's more about, like, what is going on in Roshar.
So my guess would be that humans are the Voidbringers.
Yes.
Dude. mean,
or that they're not even from Roshar.
Shook me, dude.
Oh, dude.
Which you and I talked a couple months ago when I was reading Words of Radiance, and I said something along the lines.
You said Jake told you something, dude, and it was exactly like basically it, and I was like,
well, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, I just got the hint because I can't remember what happened in Words of Radiance, but something happens to where you go, wait, are the people that I care about in this book the good guys or the bad guys?
Yeah.
Like, you get just a little hint of like, oh, wait. And then this is the culmination of that. Dude, but I had forgotten about it. I didn't think about it once while reading Oathbringer. So when it happened, I was like, oh. But it brings so much together. Just the whole scene of the Radiants dropping their swords.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. Like, and then the Stormfather talking about it and being like,
yeah.
I mean.
Well, because the whole context that, like, Odium is their god. Mm-hmm. And that they brought Odium to Roshar.
Yeah.
And that Honor was already there. Why Honor and Cultivation were chilling in Roshar, and then they bring Odium, and then
they switch.
Yeah.
To Honor. They start following Honor, and that's how we're like where we're at now. Mm-hmm. Which has so many implications. For one, I mean, there's still some to be answered, and unfortunately, you'll have to be careful in this video to not like go Rhythm of War. But it brings in a lot of implications. The main one being, what is Odium's like? What exactly is his plan? Like, has he forsaken humanity and just wants the Parshmen to follow him, or is he just using the Parshmen and he still wants humans to be like his people and his followers, and he's somehow got a plan in the end? Who knows? But yeah, that shook me, man, and that's probably top 3. I mean, dude, when Odium, this wasn't like oh gosh, like as far as the implications, but it just shocked me when Odium shows up in Dalinar's vision with the Stormfall. When he first shows up,
time,
I was like, oh, he could do that. I'm like, wait, be careful, Dalinar. Like, dude, be careful. It's just so epic,
Lift had
man.
his back, dude.
Yeah, she did. Which honestly, we'll get into characters more. Lift increased for me in this.
Only
book
at the very end, though, right?
Yeah, at the very end,
yes.
for sure. So yeah, that definitely shook me. I mean, we're gonna kind of be a little all over the place. We're gonna try to structure
it a bit. We'll go back and talk about it more, but I'm just curious what got you the most.
I mean,
dude, what about the thing that got me the most, bro? Was what the thrill really is.
Yeah, dude.
That was a deep
great
because
that was so good when they start talking about how the thrill is over in this part of the world now because this civil war is going on. And you're like, oh, this is like a singular thing.
Well, and the thrill, like, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, the thrill is an unmade, I think, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, which we'll get into it more, I guess, but I always was under the impression that was part of, like, the deal that Dalinar makes to have his memories removed, which I could be completely missing that, but that was, like, one of the side effects of, okay, which maybe not, because he was already kind of savaging people. Maybe that's just maybe that's just like a thing from them being bound to Odium kind of. Yeah. Before.
I will say the payoff for like his boon and curse and all that was, again, not what I expected. It wasn't lackluster, like I wasn't disappointed in it, but it's just not what you expect. Like his curse is really like intertwined in his boon. Like he doesn't want to remember, and we'll get into this more, but he doesn't want to remember everything about Evie and all the pain and all that stuff, but she also takes away from him like his potential, like in a lot of ways, and like his ability to become the man that he could be. True. But in the end, you find this out. Her plan all along was to give it back to him. So it's kind of different, and it's cultivation. It's not the Night Watcher. The whole time you're thinking he's going to the Night Watcher, and Stormfather mentions to him like, you've met the Night Watcher or cultivation, you just don't realize it. And then you find out cultivation is the Night Watcher's mother, like she's a spren that was created by cultivation. So it was very interesting, and there's a lot of cool things about cultivation. I'll just say another thing that wowed me that probably won't get a lot more talk time. When the Stormfather holds Odium at bay when Dalinar brings Vinley into a vision to try to talk to her. Afterwards, the Stormfather says he could have shattered me into 1,000 pieces, but he didn't because he fears a retaliation from cultivation. I thought that was really interesting because, one, it gives you all this implied stuff that you don't really get from Oathbringer, like as far as what cultivation could do, why Odium fears her, and that kind of thing, which it makes sense. I mean, she's a god like Honor was.
Yeah.
Shoot, where was I going with that? Anyway, it was just really cool.
Yeah.
But
still don't, I mean, she really is still a mystery, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
But what I was gonna say, the implication that it gives, which is cool, is Odium comes across like as so OP and like how are they gonna beat this guy? But he's not. Like Sanderson does a really good job of giving you a very like intimidating OP bad guy boss. But there are limits to what he can do, which I think is really cool. Like he's still OP in a lot of ways, but as we obviously see in the end, he can be, if not beaten, he can be like put at bay by not only the Stormfather but by the Radiants if they figure it out. So and just to hit a couple more things that really just either wowed me or had a big impact. I mean, dude, when Elhokar got killed by Moash, bro, that's the moment that I was referring to earlier where I wanted to throw my book. And it's two things.
Oh, God.
It's not like Elhokar is like like your favorite character in the book, but he becomes a person where you're like, okay, Elhokar might be like something big here. And then the moment it happens, he's trying to say the first ideal. He's about to become a Radiant, and he's holding his son in his arm, and he's holding that paper, which is implied is the picture that Shallan gave him. And so he's having a moment where he goes, oh, like, this is it. Like, I can be this guy. And the person who kills him is motherfucking Moash, dude.
He's the worst, dude.
It made me so mad. First of all, it's like, where did he come from, dude? He's just not, you don't hear about him for the longest time. And then he's just like, and then Moash pierces him through the chest and then pulls out the spear and stabs him through the eye. And I'm just like, huh.
And then, like I told you, what hit me the most, the freaking bridge 4 salute to Kaladin. It's like,
and just since we're on that scene, dude, I've never been so mad at Kaladin, bro. I was mad at him at a beginning point in the book when I was thinking he was going to like join the Parchment or something. But that moment was like, bro, get it together, man.
Yeah, dude. It's
get
the
it
reality.
Together. You are the reason.
Reality.
You are the reason Moash is in this position to be able to do this. Why are you just sitting there? So that was tough, and I know that, or I don't know. I imagine that a lot of that's going to be fleshed out with Kaladin in the next book because he could not get the fourth ideal when Syl was trying to get him to do that in Shadesmar. Which, by the way, no one gets the fourth ideal in this book. I don't know if you thought that someone in particular did, and we're not going to say who, but you mentioned someone potentially, or a group of someone potentially getting it, which I believe is the Shard Plate, which I don't think that's a spoiler. Well, we're in spoilers, so it doesn't matter. I think you get the idea that it's Shard Plate, but no one gets that in this book.
It is. Yeah, that is what it is.
So other moments, I mean, and we'll talk about this one more, but, I mean, dude, Dalinar in the end, bro, absolutely refusing Odium, bro, was like,
you can't have my
pain. You cannot have my pain. I mean, dude, that was like, that wasn't just holding tears back. That was like a couple tears coming out. Like, holy, I mean, Dalinar just had so much, in a moment, had so much like progression and like just made like this pivot to become like the person you've been waiting for him to come this whole book.
I can't wait to show you the fan art of like what I was going to get tattooed, because that's one of the scenes is the you can't have my pain. It's like Dalinar, but like there's flames all around him, and there's this like the thing of Odium, and he's just like kind of like surrendering, but like not at the same time refusing. Oh my god, dude.
So okay, so that's some moments. Let's get away from that briefly and just kind of, we're not going to summarize this book. People have done it and they've done an okay job. They messed up some stuff in the ones I saw, but we're not going to do a summary for that reason, because a book like this, so many things happen. We're going to not mention stuff that viewers may think, oh, they missed this part. We're going to maybe mess up a couple of things, but just to kind of summarize, and I'm kind of doing this like off the head top, but
what do you think about at least the prologue? I want to at least talk about the prologue, because that's Eshonai, I think, is the
talking about the POV of Gavilar's
do you remember that at all?
I remember it a bit.
Because it was Jasna before, obviously. Then Way of Kings is Zeth, because it's like the first time you ever hear about it. But anyway, I like how he adds the texture of it, and he is kind of setting you up for the next book, which is so crazy because he's doing that 1,300 pages before, just because of who the POV character is in Rhythm of War. But anyway, it's giving you that Parshendi side.
It gave you the Parshendi side, but it did, I mean, if I remember correctly, it did show you that the Parshendi were not like fully confident in the consequences of what they were about to do. They were like, this is going to end in like a lot of us getting slaughtered, but like we cannot allow this to happen. He wants to bring these gods back, and we cannot let that happen, which is really cool to think about from the perspective of, why are you laughing? Are you laughing because of Rhythm of War right now? This is going to happen so much in this podcast. Like, it just kind of shows you that, like, you know, it gives you a lot of perspective when you see what it was that they were trying to avoid. You're like, oh,
I can't wait for you just to read the prologue of the next one. It's it almost makes it to where none of it matters, which is what's crazy, and that's how it's so wild how he can even do that with, 15 pages, and it's like, wait, what? Yeah, which, I mean, again, I guess this is kind of a spoiler, but it's really not. But it's Navani is the prologue.
Okay. Oof.
So it's just. And it changes everything. It's so crazy how he can do that. Because, I mean, I remember when I read Jasna's prologue, I was like, wait, what's happening? And that is in Words of Radiance, where she, like, goes into Shadesmar and, like, kind of does some of that. I was like, what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I know it's not really necessarily that type of vibe with, at least in Oathbringer with Eshonai, but I think it is a setup.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I think it is cool how he is doing that, which, again, I was going to tell you this, which I might as well just tell you this now. Oh, dude, I don't know.
Just tell me, man.
So
just tell me.
No. Well, I guess you kind of already know this a little bit. So what I didn't realize is the flashback is a radiant of a different order every time.
Oh,
So Kaladin is a Windrunner, Shallan is a Lightweaver, Dalinar is a Bondsmith.
And I don't know what Vinley is yet. Sorry, that's a slight spoiler for Rhythm of War, but I know it's her. But man,
I didn't even think about that and then it shows. Well, because
so that's exciting.
I know who the flashback is for. I mean, I guess you already know this
for Book 5.
Yeah,
it being Szeth.
It's Szeth.
Yeah,
because he's not a Windrunner.
No, he's a Skybreaker. He's a Skybreaker. That's right.
So that's the only reason why I like made this connection that he's doing that, which is just like a whole nother layer of like.
And that's again just, I mean, Brandon Sanderson is a god. Like, because it's stuff like that you don't even notice, and that's why I
didn't
really
even notice until I just looked at this website. Yeah.
That's why I'm so excited, man. I mentioned this to you the other night. Like, I really want to go back and read these books. Like, and I feel like it's gonna open up so much more.
Reading it over again, I can only imagine.
But yeah, so to get back, so Eshonai being and that's kind of a little cloak and dagger bait and switch, if you will, because you get her as the prologue, and you kept trying to hint to me, like I was joking around about it, like I thought Eshonai was gonna be this big important thing. She dies off page, like in the beginning. She's
still
of the book.
Really important. I think in Rhythm of War, it's just not the same.
Well, it's in flashbacks, I'd imagine. Yeah.
But yeah, at first you think it's like a Jasna thing where it's like, oh, she's not really dead. And it's like, no, she did, bro.
Yeah. So, okay. So to get back into the summary, the book starts out.
To go back to that, though, was her Shardblade there? I've forgotten, like, what happens in that.
Her blade and plate, they got both of them off of her.
Who gets it?
They don't say.
They don't say, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't remember just for, like, my own sake if somehow, like, Vinley has that, and I just didn't remember that.
No, they didn't give it to Vinley.
That'd be wild, dude.
So the book starts out, we're in Urithiru right after Words of Radiance. So kind of the things that are happening at the beginning is Dalinar is still trying to convince people to do this coalition. Yeah. A big thing in the beginning of the book is Adolin has just killed Sadeas. So that happens and people find out about it, and then shortly after someone gets killed similarly, which leads to the whole Unmade being in Urithiru.
Yeah, which the whole like landscape of, I guess, Urithiru, however you would say that, I think you're saying it right, is kind of cool how they're like exploring that and like unlocking that. And dude, there's still so much to like unpack with that, like that I think just in later books is gonna have to do. You get a lot in Words of Radiance, or not Words of Radiance, sorry, Rhythm of War. But it's just, I think that was one of the coolest parts to me, was kind of just discovering this unique city where that you can connect all these different areas really quickly if you can get people on board.
Yeah. But there's still so much they don't know. Like at the end of Oathbringer, they still don't understand how they had like crops and agriculture in the city.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much.
There's so much they have not figured out, that they're kind of on the surface.
Which you can probably guess like some of the way that's happening, just with the power of that Unmade, like kind of being able to do some stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's, I guess, the thing too that kind of opens you up to like, all right, so are there more of these?
Right.
And like, if so, like, what can they do, and like, how strong are they? Which, I mean, obviously, you get to kind of see with.
You get to see a few of them.
Yeah, with not to like jump too far ahead, but when they try and recapture, is it Alucard? what's the capital
Kholinar.
city? Kholinar.
Yeah.
And you get to see one there too, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So this is not something that's just, we're uncovering like a whole new villain that we didn't even realize was kind of there.
Right.
Or maybe not villain. It's like one of those, things.
Well, because and again, we're kind of jumping a little back and forth, but to talk about the Unmade, and them being like good or evil, like the thrill when Dalinar captures it, he realizes like this thing's not like bad or good.
Yeah.
This thing's just a passionate, like, he wants to fight.
Dude, I wonder if like connecting that to Warbreaker, I wonder if that's like somehow like another level of an ideal. You know how like Nightblood is like giving a physical item something, and like a task like kill evil, and I wonder if the thrill is like somehow giving like a spiritual like object a task.
That's interesting.
I've never thought about it until the way you said that, it just made me think about that.
Yeah. But okay, back to it. So you're starting out basically with, this book is Dalinar. The flashbacks are Dalinar, so this is his book, and we'll get into the flashbacks for sure. But so setup is we're in Urithiru. Kaladin's not. Kaladin's like off in the middle of nowhere.
Because he goes off to check on his parents, right?
Yes, that's where he's heading at the beginning of the book. He does find them. But the big kind of things are Dalinar's trying to unite everybody, all the kingdoms of Roshar, essentially.
Dude, just to go back just a little bit, what did you think about Kaladin going back and like...
Oh, great.
You know what
scene.
I mean? I forgot about that.
Oh, my God.
Isn't that cool?
That's like the very beginning. So he goes back to his hometown, and at first he's trying not to be like, trying not to be a dick about it, but once he has to, he's like, just pulls up Silblade, and he's like, all right, guys.
Are we going to stop pretending now?
Y'all going to stop around with me? Because we got to do.
Well, because What's-His-Face is still there. The guy who savaged his whole family.
Starts with an R. Dang it.
Yeah, I'll put it on screen if I have to. But so kind of getting to see that full circle, which is not really that satisfying, if I remember correctly, right?
I mean, it's satisfying in the sense that, like, because Kaladin's
he still needs the guy, right? He can't just he doesn't kill him.
No, he doesn't kill him. He punches him in the face and like busts up his nose.
Yeah,
but
immediately.
He's like past that point, which is a nice character development for Kaladin. He's like, this is beneath me. I'm not going to kill this guy. Like, I could easily kill everyone in this room.
But What's-Her-Face is there still, right?
Yeah,
the girl that he used to like?
Yeah,
and she's married
Lomar
to
or
him,
something.
right?
She's married to...
Okay, that's right.
And God, we really need to know these names because we're sitting here going so-and-so and such and such. But
the leader of the town who... The whole reason why... I mean, that's to partner in Moash as well. I mean...
Yeah.
He's the guy.
Yeah, he's the guy. He's a character you don't get too much of, especially at this point, but he had a lot of impact on the characters in the books.
That's true. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up before I forgot because that was
that was
cool
great.
Thing.
I
hadn't heard a lot
totally
of people
forgot
talk about that.
It was a great little moment. So kind of going from there. So you basically go from the beginning to the fall of Kholinar, and everything that leads up to that point. I mean, there's some good stuff. Some main things you get is Kaladin kind of hiking with the Parshmen for a while.
So you didn't like that?
No. I liked it, but I was worried. I was like, bro, is Kaladin about to switch sides and go fight Dalinar or something to try to protect this group of people? But what I really liked from the impact of that later in the book is you don't find out until later from this point, but you get a quick little reference to some Parshmen that are being mistreated in the Voidbringer army, and you find out it's the Parshmen Kaladin had been with, because once he exposes himself as a Radiant, they're like super pissed. And it does have the impact of the fall of Kholinar and why Kaladin freezes up. So it does make sense. But essentially what you're getting is Kaladin going with these people, for one, to try to find out where all the Voidbringers and Parshmen are going so they can know where they're at. But he also inadvertently, and this was, I think, part of, or probably the way Kaladin is part of his plan as well, like he got to know them and realized not all of the Parshmen are like these savage red-eyed Voidbringers.
More complicated than...
Yeah, it's much more complicated, and you get a lot of that through the books. You end up finding out that all the Parshmen slaves that came from Thaylen City, like none of them want to fight. They don't even want to kill their former masters. They were like, I mean, some of them were pretty nice, and we're glad to be free, but we don't want to kill them. Can we just go somewhere else? So you do get a lot of that in this book, which is very interesting. Like, I feel like there's a lot of future implications in that, because it's like, what exactly is the purpose of what they're doing, like, and a lot of that has to just do with Odium and what his end goal is, which I do not know yet. I mean, I guess I do. he tells Dalinar he wants to rebuild Roshar after Dalinar destroys it.
Yeah.
Which, to go back to really impactful moments, that hit me deep. I was like, wait. And that's when I really started believing, bro, Dalinar's going to be Odium's champion. I didn't even think about the possibility that he could just refuse this god. But to not jump too far forward, let's just we're probably missing a lot of big stuff in between the beginning and the fall of Kholinar, but that's kind of the whole first half of the book is building up to them going to Kholinar. So the plan is Elhokar, Adolin, and Kaladin, and then Shallan ends up being a part of it too, are trying to infiltrate.
They lose, bro, is wild to me. I guess that's what I was saying. I didn't expect that when I was talking about. I don't know. I just assumed, they're going to go in there and they're probably going to win. It's going to be tough, and there's maybe going to be some losses.
I thought they were going to lose.
But they're going to barely win it back because it just seemed like they needed it back. I don't know why. I didn't even really know why they needed it back because we haven't been there at all.
You haven't been there at all.
It just somehow you think it's so important.
Yeah. The reason I thought they weren't going to win is because it's in the middle of the book. I was like, this is about to be bad. Like, this is about to be a long recovery from whatever's about to happen in Kholinar. Kaladin's like practicing, making sure he can ride everybody on the front of a high storm. They get there, they find out there's not one but two unmade over Kholinar. That are kind of just messing up all the people. Like, there's people who are
that was wild,
like super gluttonous and like just partying and kind of like acting like they're drugged out the whole time because they basically give in to this sprint in their mind, telling them like, yo, this is the end times. Yeah, they have a new religion of the Spren where they worship them. So there's a lot of really crazy things going on in Kholinar, and then the queen, Elhokar's wife.
You really start seeing Elhokar's development too, though.
Yeah, dude.
And especially some of those. I forgot about you bringing up the picture that Shallan draws. I mean, I still don't like Shallan, but she has her moments, dude, where like something like that'll happen. Where it happened, dude, with. To go back to Words of Radiance, where she draws that one guy, who's dead and gone. The dude who, it's like when she pulls out her shard blade for the first time, and you're like, oh, she has a shard blade. But she draws that one guy, and like how it's not how he actually looks, but he's like has honor and all these things, and like he ends up like basically going back, I think, and helping her like succeed and fighting off the people, huh?
Vatha,
is that his name?
The guy that's like one of her main dudes of her little retinue with
No, this guy dies.
Oh, okay.
She draws a guy, but it's the way she draws him. It like gives him hope of like, no, that's who I want to be. You know?
Oh yeah,
you know
and
what
he ends
I mean?
up dying.
And
Okay,
he
yes,
has
yes,
it,
yes,
but he keeps
yes,
it with him because he's like, this is who I like.
That's right.
This is who I
he
tried
rides
to
off
be.
with her. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
But you thought like, oh, this guy's gonna kind of
forgot
savage
about
her.
that, dude. Oh, that's in Words of Radiance. Okay. Yeah.
But then anyway, she kind of does the same thing with Elhokar. Is what I was trying to like point out. Is like she draws him in a way, and he's like, you can tell it's not the way he views himself. Yeah. But then it kind of gives him like, I can be better.
I can be that guy.
And and then he does, and that's what makes it worse.
The moment he does is when he dies.
He starts really like turning it around and like getting to work and like really trying to come up with a good plan, but at the same time delegating and not being too afraid to like ask for help.
And he tells Kaladin like before they do it, he's like just help them, but he was like basically saying, I'm not super confident in like my abilities to accomplish this task. If I fall, please get my wife and child out and try to save Kholinar. But if nothing else, please get my wife and child out of here.
He got one,
which just hurts so much. He got one. I assume the queen's dead because Amaram ends up getting that thing, and Odium makes a comment to him saying, hey, the queen of Kholinar tried to do this, and it didn't end well for her. So I assume she died off page somewhere.
I totally forgot about that.
But anyway, so in Kholinar becomes a major issue. Like, essentially, they can't work the Oathgate properly.
Yeah.
And then they end up getting shoved into Shadesmar.
Dude, what did you think about Azure?
Are we going into full spoilers?
This is a Cosmere Warbreak. If you have not read Warbreaker, well, will it even matter if you haven't read Warbreaker? It's just it's a character. We'll put it just in case.
Yeah. I mean, it's a spoiler warning.
If you don't want to know, and then we'll like cut it back when we're done talking about the Warbreaker part.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't immediately make the connection that she was Vivenna, but over time, like eventually I was like, when she started talking about how she's from another world, and then the whole kata routine in Shadesmar with the three of them, with Adolin, Kaladin, and her, and she's like, who taught you that? Huh?
There's no one else doing it?
No, it's just them three.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just them three doing it, and they've all learned from the same person, but for Azure, Vivenna, it was Vasher.
I didn't even. I'm so glad you brought that up. Like when you were reading it, because obviously I read Oathbringer after, and you read it before you read this book, so I didn't even
Talking about Warbreaker.
Warbreaker.
Yeah.
Because that's so cool. I'm so
It's
glad
so
you said that,
cool.
or else I would have never even remembered that.
Yeah, and then she says one of the last thing that you get of her in the book is her telling Shallan, like, I'm here looking for a sword. And you're like, oh, she's looking for Nightblood. But then she also makes a comment to Adolin or Kaladin. One of them, she says, hey, when you see Zahel next time, tell him I'm looking for him.
See, I didn't realize, I did not catch that at all. Like, I don't remember that part at all.
And that makes you think, like, is that playful banter, or is there, like, a problem between them two? Which I can't really imagine there is, because unless her problem is that he's just not doing anything, because he's just kind of being a sword master for Kholinar, or for the Alethi. But
he's just like a priest, dude. He's like not really doing anything.
Yeah, that's right. He's like an ardent sword master. He's like kind of weird, but yeah, she was super cool. I thought it was really cool that she had kind of, and she explains this later, but she kind of just is in Kholinar looking for Nightblood, and then everything goes down, and she just like starts helping and ends up becoming like the commander of the wall guard, and they all respect her a lot, even though she's a woman, and like women in Alethi culture are not supposed to even hold swords and that kind of thing. So yeah, I thought that was really, really cool. And then you see her like use breath to a degree, because Adolin notices that her hair color changes periodically.
See, I didn't catch that at all, dude.
Yeah, so she's somehow using, which that's a big thing. I would love to understand how the powers transfer like between worlds, because not only does she do that, but Wit does it at the end.
Yeah. He does it at the end, but he also does it in I think he does it. Maybe he's using something else.
Oh, when he's talking to Shallan. Yeah. He does. But it's
because,
weird.
Wait, what happens at the end of Oathbringer? What's the Wit thing?
Dude, he's still in Kholinar, and he gets that spren. He
says
well, he kind of doesn't say it the same. At the very end, he says journey before destination, little buddy, or something like that, or life before death, little buddy, talking to the spren, which I don't know if this is obvious, but that's Elhokar's spren. That was supposed to be Elhokar's, because he walks up the stairs, sees the dried blood of Elhokar, and then talks to the spren in the wall right there, which made me think this spren has been sitting here scared since Elhokar, because the spren would have had to have been there, like watching him almost become a Radiant.
Do you know what kind of spren it is yet?
No. Oh no, it's a cryptic. It's a pattern. He says it.
Yeah. Sorry, because I always get confused because it's like a cryptic, but like that doesn't connect to Lightweaver for me for some reason. Because he's a Lightweaver.
Yeah, he's a Lightweaver,
which makes so much more sense.
But that kind of, now that you've just told me what you just told me, that kind of makes me worried that we're never going to get a Wit book in the Stormlight Archive, because we've already got a Lightweaver POV. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Which hopefully that'll change in the future.
He'll have to re-go back probably, you know.
Which again,
there's
also a lot.
10 orders.
Actually, his backstory is in Mistborn.
Is it actually?
Well, he's a huge character in Mistborn. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's Hoid in Mistborn, which you get Hoid some in Stormlight. But yeah, Azor was cool. So in Shadesmar, like, how did you feel about that whole entire?
Shadesmar was my least favorite part for sure, but
but you do get some really cool little bits of information. You get stuff really about honor, which is really cool. You learn about Syl. This was cool.
Oh, like the honor sprint. I mean, dude, this is a huge part of Rhythm of War. Huge.
Really?
They spend a lot of time in Shadesmar. That's probably a spoiler, but
really. Yeah. Well, you do learn a couple of things. You kind of get more
of the foundations of how Shadesmar works.
Okay.
With like the land being water, water being land.
Right.
Spheres, like if you have, and that you can't recharge Stormlight there, which is a dagger.
Huge dagger for the Radiants, because they need that real bad.
Yeah.
But you learn about Syl that she's actually the Stormfather's child. She's not a direct child of honor. She's the Stormfather, one of his few children.
Knows her there.
And she's the only one that survived the Recreants, but she went into a slumber after the Recreants. So even though the way the other honor sprint explains it is she's old of body but young of mind. So she's been alive for a long time, but her mind hasn't actually been active for that long. So she's like a kid. And she had tried to bond with someone before.
Or at the Way of Kings when it's progress.
Yeah, she like has no idea what's going on. Yeah. But she tried to bond with someone before, and that person got killed. So you find out that, like, you know, that's happened before. And the honor sprint says to Kaladin, like, she's way too young to bond, which is like borderline. You're like, is Kaladin a pedophile for bonding her? But no, he's just like, she like can't actually handle it. But at the same time, it's like the Stormfather already kind of was like,
because
keep doing your
just
thing.
to refresh me, the Honor Sprint helped them out, but they shouldn't have.
Yes, so they end up Kaladin. Yes, the reason they help him out is because Kaladin like explains to them like, I'm a Windrunner and a bondsmith is about to die. So is it really honorable for you to do this?
He plays the honor card
and
on
like
the honor
get a Radiant killed when we could go help him right now. And then what really sends them over the edge is when they basically see a manifestation of Syl communicating with Kaladin in his mind. They see those little slits of wind and light pop up around him, and that's when it really hits home for the Honor Sprint. They're like, oh, he's like actually a Windrunner. Like this, like the Night Radiants really are back. They're saying oaths, all this stuff, which they kind of say. One of the Honor Sprint kind of says like that's not good.
Well, they don't trust him because the last time they did that, they all got killed.
Yeah, they all got killed.
And apparently that's like worse than death.
Yeah,
almost is that. And
which when they say that, did they mean they become a Deadeye? Like
so that
Maya?
is that's what I was about to ask. So you met Maya with Adeline.
Which, bro, it's not the same, but Adeline has a Spren, okay? And it's Maya. It's not the same, but
dude,
he
I
has
can't
one.
say anything.
Oh, God, dude. God.
But that set the foundation for
some big
Adeline.
stuff.
Maybe.
You're hurting me, dude. You're hurting me right now.
Because the whole Deadeye thing is so crazy to like learn about, like it on the other side. But that is a good... That's a good question because that's what I was thinking is it can't be though because Syl, I guess it depends on if they die. Maybe not, I don't know. You know what I mean? I can't remember well enough to remember if when your person gets killed. I think it is when your person gets killed. So I don't know why she doesn't.
I don't think it's your.
Deadeye.
I don't think we know exactly how. In Oathbringer, at least, we don't know how they become a Deadeye because
it's when you break your oath. I think.
I guess.
I think it is. There's something. Dude.
But I don't know because
Dude,
it's
there's
like
something that happens in Rhythm War. I just remembered that like I forgot about that. It shouldn't be minor, but dude, it's gonna blow your mind, bro. When it happens.
God. Well, I can't wait.
Oh my God. I think it is when you break your oath. If I'm not, check me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think it's when.
I guess that does have to be it because that's when the Radiants all leave their shard blades and like they basically break their connection with them. I think you're right. They all broke their oath as Radiants and it made all those Spren die and just become shard blades.
That's why they're afraid to bond again because they like being a Deadeye is like worse than anything apparently because you're just.
I mean, your eyes are scratched out and you don't know what's going on. It was funny when they were on the ship in Shadesmar. They were like, "Why?"
They like don't like the Deadeyes.
Well, they're like, why did y'all lock her up? And the dude's like, because she'll just walk off the ship, and I don't feel like having to search for her in the ocean. They were like, they basically say like she's a dum dum, like she doesn't know what's going on, and she'll just freaking walk off the side of the ship. So it's really interesting how they view them. But then you get she's not a dum dum. Like for one, she's not a dum dum. Like she almost starts communicating with Adeline in the end of the book, to a degree. So. Anyway, what else happens in Shadesmar? I'm trying to think. I mean, Kaladin's having a super tough time. This is just after he's frozen up and gotten. I shouldn't say he got Elhokar killed, but he certainly didn't help in him not getting killed. So he's having a super tough time. I really liked, again, Dalinar's probably my favorite character overall in the series right now. Adeline's my number 2, bro. And he just gets... He's like even better. Like in those moments, dude, he like picks up on how Kaladin's like depressed. He won't let Kaladin walk behind him. Like he nudges him to keep moving forward. He's just such a good friend. All the while,
maybe Shallan likes him. You know.
All the while, he's catching hints that like maybe Shallan like kind of has eyes for this guy, and he's still just is a good guy, bro. He's just a good guy, and he's the only one in this whole group of people that's not a Radiant. Which, to skip forward a little bit, since we're talking about Adeline, the fact that he just goes so hard in Thaylen City, he's looking around at basically gods flying around fighting each other, and he's like, whatever, I'll run out here with no shard plate and just fight this monster and like do whatever it needs to be done. Like he just never Adeline's such a good guy, man.
He is.
He's such a good guy.
He is. I have nothing bad. Like there's legit nothing bad to say. I mean, if Adeline were to get killed, dude, it would be tragic. I
don't like that you're saying that because I feel like you're setting me up for Rhythm of War. I don't like that. I feel like you're setting me up for something.
It'd be a big sacrifice. No, I'm kidding, dude.
Oh, man.
That's so funny.
Okay, before we I mean, well, no, we should get through the rest of the book actually. So Shadesmar, I'm trying to think what else. Like, I mean, it's basically a reverse reflection of everything in the real world. They make it to Thaylen City and they see all of the Void Spren, the fuse or whatever, and then they pass through. And that's kind of like the big scene of Shadesmar. Challenge. They have like a big fight or a fight where Shallan kind of creates a little army, which is like a big foreshadowing for what she's about to do in Thaylen City, but or Thaylena, maybe it is. Yeah. I can't remember. Adolin gets stabbed. I was worried for a split second until I remembered he's on the cover of Rhythm of War. I was like, is he about to die in Shadesmar right now? And I mean, they're stuck. Like, they don't figure it out. They're not
looking good, bro.
They don't figure it out.
They don't have any Stormlight at all. They're screwed, bro.
Kaladin won't say the fourth ideal. Like, it seems like he knows what to say, but he just can't for some reason, which can't wait to figure out why. Yeah. It was really cool. I did like in Shadesmar how you get Syl and Pattern. Like, they're basically walking around like the size of humans. Like, Kaladin can feel Syl like when she hugs him. Which, dude, everything about their bond just makes me want to cry every time because Syl just seems like this like very innocent and pure being who just wants Kaladin to like be happy and do the right thing. So like the moment, dude, where the fused are charging at them and Kaladin basically says, I can't say the fourth ideal, Syl just wraps her arms around him and is like hugging him, essentially preparing to die, I guess. Like, I don't know what they thought was about to happen, but they had basically were at their wits' end, not to be punny. And she just like hugs Kaladin. She's like, all right. Yeah. And it's just like, it just goes to show how like deep and spiritual that bond is. Yeah. Because that's another thing that the Honor Spren kind of talk about. I think it's the Honor Spren. They talk about how like this bond is like not quite the same. Like like an Honor Spren bond is not quite the same as all other Spren bonds. Like this is very, also very like deep.
The high class of Spren.
Right. Yeah.
You get that vibe, and so you kind of learn more. Like they don't really mess with other Spren either. Like they have their own city where they like kind of do their own thing.
And you still don't find out. Like you get whispers of it, and you understand that most of the Spren don't like certain Honor Spren, but you don't find out. Like you get a whisper of like them trying to take over Shadesmar, but you don't actually find out why the Honor Spren are viewed the way they are. Yeah. But you get an idea that like they had tried something before, like and it didn't work out. Now everybody else kind of hates them. Trying to think if anything else is in there. I mean, obviously, Adolin getting to walk around with his sword, essentially. Like, another thing that you love about Adolin is, like, he's the only person that you see in the book that, like, has this, like, reverence for his blade and talks to it.
Yeah, and so it's cool.
Before he ever knew that there was a Spren behind his sword.
He sets that up really well.
Yeah, like, so it's, like, a really nice payoff of Adolin actually getting to meet her.
Once he sees, it's a person. Or, well, a real, like, this...
Like, this is a being.
Yeah.
And, like, you can tell he feels bad about it. And when he gets back to Kholinar and the first time he, like, calls on his shard blade, he says, I'm sorry. Because he's remembering, like, the fact that when he did it in Shadesmar, she just screamed.
Yeah.
And so it just, again, reinforces Adolin is through and through a great guy.
Thank God he married Shallan, right?
Okay, so, I mean, to get to that, dude... I will say I do like
someone with legit mental issues who has split personalities.
I mean, it's a problem for sure.
Only one of her likes Adolin, you know? It's like...
Well, they all at least appreciate, but only one of them like wants to be with Adolin. Yeah, I mean, Radiant kind of does, but Vale like wants Kaladin.
Yeah, and it's like, Vale, chill out.
Like, stop that. But I will say, like, to jump to the end of, like, Adolin and Kaladin, like, they get married in the end, obviously, but I did think it was really nice how, like...
Adolin and Kaladin get married?
No, Adolin and Shallan. Did I say Adolin and Kaladin?
I'm like, you've been on a subreddit, haven't you? You've been on a certain subreddit. We'll link that.
Adolin and Shallan. No, we won't. Adolin and Shallan, like, she can find herself most easily when Adolin is there.
So do you think Adolin's going to get hurt? Or?
I mean, I don't know.
I'm just curious. Like, so you trust Shallan?
No, I don't trust Shallan. I just like that, like that's there because it seems like some sort of payoff for Adolin, which who knows, maybe it changes. But
I don't know, dude. I just remember when I read that, I was like, dude, Adolin doesn't deserve this.
I mean,
like, in a way of like he deserves better, dude.
But he loves Shallan. Like he has strong feelings. So it only made me happy because it felt like a payoff for Adolin.
Yeah,
like,
I see what you're saying.
Like like she refused to let him go, didn't like told him like I don't want Kaladin, like
Yeah,
and she was honest with him
does
about
choose,
it. She was like Vale did have eyes for him, but like it's because of this or whatever.
Can you imagine?
I mean, can you imagine your girl looking at you and saying, one of my split personalities does like one of your best friends,
she's
but
still gonna be
I'm going to
hanging
ignore
around.
it. Yeah.
And
Then even after that in the book, you find out, like it briefly says that Adelin's like kind of gotten used to like being around Vale, but he doesn't get intimate with Vale. Like he only gets intimate with Shallan.
And that's where, I mean, it's not really spoilers because you see that. I mean, that's what really pisses me off in Rhythm of War, bro. It becomes so much more where she is 3 different characters.
Yeah. But I will say, though, and we're jumping around here. It's going to make structure in this video so difficult. But it does seem like she makes some kind of breakthrough where she separates them to a degree. I mean, it seems that way. It seems like it's at
I've
least.
read Rhythm of War, so it gets so much worse, dude.
Yeah, I mean, you've told me that a lot, that Shallan only gets worse.
God,
but
I
I
hate
will
her
say,
so
at the
much
end of
in
this
that
book, I did at least like that Shallan seems like she is trying to make progress.
Yeah.
She seems like she is trying to not let her other selves like take over Shallan the person. Because as much as we don't like Shallan in some cases, Shallan is the Shallan that I want. I do not want Vale, and I do not want Radiant. I want Shallan. I want her to deal with her problems and be Shallan.
No, I 100% agree with that.
Because again, you do have to go back to the fact that she's been through so much and she's had so many problems. So like who knows how you deal with it, you know, kind of thing. And I can appreciate that to a degree. Oh, and her brothers show up at the end. Whoa, that was sick. Finally. But okay. We got a little sidetracked there. We get out of Shadesmar. Now, this is the part that I really feel like I can hang on to and talk about for 4 hours.
Oh, well, so much happens.
So much happens, dude, in the end of this book.
My favorite part, dude, and it's got to be yours too, and this is what I was going to really like get tatted, and it's freaking Zeth unsheathing Nightblood, bro, and just...
I mean, that was such a culmination,
dude,
bro.
Especially with Lift right there. I mean, and that, again, this is the only part where I'm like, all right... For sure, because it's kind of like, oh, this is such a dark moment that even Lift's kind of like not doing the whole joke thing. Like, because she is it for a little bit in there, and then like it gets bad, you know, where it's like, oh.
And I think it's from her perspective that you see Zeth, because once everything starts kind of happening, Zeth's just up in the air with Nail, trying to decide which way he's going to go. Am I going to like ideal the law, or am I going to ideal to Dalinar?
So he does say an ideal, bro.
Yeah, his ideal is that he will follow Dalinar Kholin, bro. Like, what kind of ideal is that, man? But it's really cool because it kind of shows you a lot about the character of Zeth. It's like Zeth has been so accustomed to a person having his Oathstone and then following Nail.
Bro,
he wants to follow a person.
Finding out, though, that the Oathstone is nothing.
It's absolutely nothing, bro. It means nothing. I was kind of pissed. Which...
Because you're like, how does this power work?
Which makes you think, why is Dalinar not pissed? Why does he not want to kill Zeth? It's like, oh, you killed my brother? Yeah, just sit outside my door and make sure no one tries to kill me. It's like, you did that for a rock, bro?
No, but dude, just think, bro. His ideal, dude, is to Dalinar. And then what Odium told Dalinar, it's just like...
About him destroying Roshar?
Yeah, that like he's gonna, you know, because it leaves you, I assume, and this could be huge spoilers, that, I mean... The only way... No, it doesn't, because this is in the words of the end of... This is what's great. It's in the end of The Way of Kings, is that the only way to beat Odium is to challenge him to, like, essentially a 1v1 duel and have a champion.
Well, not even him. He would have his own champion.
Yeah, like, you have it. But you can choose yourself as a champion.
Well, right, you can, but...
But I'm just saying, like...
You assume Odium wouldn't for some reason.
So it's just crazy to think, like... That's even revealed, and you're like, well, what does that even mean, dude? In The Way of Kings,
it does make you think, like,
matter. Dude, now it's starting to get real.
Zeth might be the champion
close
to fight Odium's champion. Like, that's what it kind of makes me think.
But he's...
If not Kaladin.
No, but you're saying that what? You're saying that you think Zeth is going to fight Odium's champion?
I would think
but
that,
what
like...
if Odium's champion is Dalinar? And he's bound
to
Dalinar?
He refused him. He refused him, though. I think that was the whole point of the end, is Odium is trying to... When he says... I want to fight, like I want to fight champion to champion. Odium's like, okay, you're my champion. And Dalinar's like, huh, what? But then he refuses him. And then Odium leaves, bro, right when Dalinar refuses him. And what was really cool is in that moment, Odium says, I killed you. And he's not talking to Dalinar. He's talking to Honor in that moment. Like, that was him like really channeling honor like in more ways than he had by reaching into Shadesmar and then bringing the storm, refusing all of the spheres.
You want to talk about something that's so OP,
That's
bro?
so sick, dude.
But talk about something that's so overpowered, bro.
Oh, it's
His
so
power,
OP.
being able to just keep everybody just fused up,
Just lit.
lit. Dude,
Okay, so
the Bondsmith, bro, you still have so much to learn about, and then even in Rhythm of War, you don't get a ton of answers just because there's no other ones. Like he's it.
He's the only
So-
one. Well, because there can only be one per god. So like there's one for honor. Cultivation could have one, and Odium could have one, but they don't. So he's the only one, which is cool. You get in before all this, you get to see another part of his power being a bondsmith is like rebuilding. Like he starts rebuilding some of the walls and rebuilds that statue for Queen Finn.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, there's just so much. So
You
sorry.
want to go back and talk about Zeth though,
Let's do it.
and then come back to the fight because you want to. And that was another thing because I was gonna do the whole sleep and one of the other like. Because these are all like fan art, which I'll put them up on the screen. But I wish we had like a screen so I could show it to you live, so you'd react to it. Dude, it's so cool. It's a picture of Zeth laying in water, and all the colors have like diffused out of his thing. It's like such a cool like nuanced picture that you wouldn't know what does that even mean.
Yeah. Oh,
unless
that's cool.
From the scene when Zeth
When he's training,
and they're doing the things where you're like trying to hit each other with the little colors, and it's like whoever has like the least amount, and then he just hits.
He gets
the
in
hack
water.
of just getting in water.
Yeah, and he didn't even mean to at first, but then he's like, "Oh wait, I win."
And he wins.
Which is the second time that he kind of gamed the system, because the first thing where they, or maybe it's after this, I can't remember.
Dude,
when they
there's a
go
part-
chase the criminals.
That part you're gonna have to for sure explain to me because I was thinking about that. I'm like, dude, what happened in that? And I feel like there were huge implications potentially with some of that.
Well, it just
kind
kind of shows that Zeth is like leveled up from the other Skybreakers, because they all go get a person. He ends up fighting one too and kills him, but he comes back and he's like, there's got to be more to this. And so he talks to the jailer who had them like imprisoned, and basically finds out that the jailer wasn't taking care of his prisoners at all, that they were like starving, they hadn't seen the sunlight in so long. And so then he looks at like the game master, whatever, the other Skybreaker, and he's like, is he one of the ones on the list? And she was like, yeah. And he kills him with Nightblood. And even the other Skybreakers that are in charge of him are like, I don't know about this guy.
Can he do that?
What is that sword? I just love how every time
wild,
Nightblood comes out, there's not a single person that's not like,
Dude, and then I think just to jump back again, which we probably shouldn't, but the fact that does Nightblood talk to Lift?
yeah, because Lift holds on to Zeth at one moment to feed him Stormlight so he doesn't die. So a connection is made between Lift and Nightblood, which again, dude, like, Lift is an annoying character, but I really, really liked her in the final act. I really liked her.
She plays
because
a way bigger role.
Like her and Zeth joining, like, bro, if you had said to me, bro, what do you think is going to be a really sick joining of two characters that haven't met before in the last battle? Never would I have said Zeth and Lift, bro. Never. No. I never would have said that. But they work together so well.
Yeah.
And I like how Zeth he seems like seems like such a principled character, bro. He just shows up, makes his decision, and then he's there. Yeah. He's like, what do we need to do, Dally? Tell me.
I'm doing it.
And Dalinar just going, didn't you kill my brother? All right, go get that gem.
Weren't the guy who just tried to absolutely assassinate me and my whole family?
Yeah,
and almost
haven't you assassinated
thank God?
like all the dignitaries on the planet over the last 6 months? But yeah, just to talk about Zeth, his whole character development is really cool because he's a character that seems so confused and like conflicted by his whole life leading up to this. And the guy that he is now with is a herald that is so confused and doesn't quite know like what is right anymore.
Yeah.
And so seeing Zeth find on his own, like, I'm just going to fight for Dalinar, the guy that he was previously told to kill, a guy that he knows he killed his brother, the king.
Feels like he can trust his honor.
Yeah, which is, and he accepts the consequences of it though, because Nail tells him like, men change. So like this isn't you following a strict like thing. Like you're just going to have to follow this man. And he's like, that's cool. I'll trust him. Because he doesn't want to join Odium, which all the other Skybreakers do, including Nail the Herald, which is doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But he's going to be a problem in the future.
Oh, for sure,
Nail's going to be a big problem.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a herald.
Dude, something that we haven't even brought up, dude, is one of also my favorite characters, dude, and how like this even happens. How does this battle even start? And I think I'm on the right track or not. But anyway, where's
I like how you're having to ask questions so you don't say something wrong from Rhythm of War.
Dude, I always butcher this dude's name.
Telenilat? Telenilat?
Tavangian.
Oh, dude. And that... Okay,
So
we're going to start talking about
before
this, and this is honestly the only like thing that I can see as a slight plot hole, but we'll get into it. So basically what happens is, firstly, Taravangian releases all the information that Dalinar has not released about him and Elhokar, talking about him becoming High King, about the vision he had with Odium, and then like something else, and it just makes the coalition split up completely.
Yeah.
Because his whole goal is for Dalinar to fall, and I don't know if he means death or just fall away from grace, and then him to come in and be the leader of the coalition.
Yeah.
It doesn't work because Dalinar is daddy throughout these books. But dude, he let them into Aretharu.
Okay, good. I was
He let them in, bro. And No, he didn't. The only thing he tells Dalinar is mostly about Szeth. That's the main thing he tells him, is that like his whole plan. But he doesn't tell him about, I don't think he tells him about Aretharu. But, dude, he releases all that information so people start leaving, and then he lets people into Aretharu so they can take over it and armies can't come relieve them. It's just like, dude, what is your deal, man? Like, what do you want?
The diagram, bro.
The freaking diagram. But his people, Moral and Adrotasia, or whatever, his, like, people, start telling him towards the end, like, yo, the diagram's been pretty consistently wrong lately. So, like, should we do something different? He's like, no, trust the diagram. And next thing you know, Odium is there. So to cap off Taravangian, bro, he now works for Odium. And Taravangian's a problem, dude, even outside of that, dude. When he has his intelligent days, when he had his big intelligent day in Oathbringer, I was like, dude, what is he about to do?
Because he starts doing stuff, right? Like right on
he
the
starts
walls
changing the diagram.
Yeah.
Which he's not supposed to do.
Because, dude, and what's cool, bro, is that he acts.
He acts like he's not as smart.
He's so smart that he acts like he's not
outsmarted his own test. Yes. So Taravangian is one of the, and you said this to me before,
dude,
one of the coolest concepts of a character ever. He has basically, and you all know this, I assume, if you're watching it, but he basically, and I didn't realize this, dude. It's because of the Night Watcher. I didn't realize he made a deal with the Night Watcher. He asked for the capacity and the compassion to lead and save his people. And that was his boon. The downfall is he doesn't get them at the same time, dude. So he'll have the capacity and not the compassion, and vice versa. So it's not even that he's stupid and smart on days. It's either he has the capacity or he has compassion, or a mixture of both. He can never have both. It's like this. It has to be like this.
See, that's such a cool idea.
It's such a good concept, and it makes his character so interesting.
So well too. He really capitalized on that, and dude,
but he makes it
only becomes more of a problem.
And if you only know the bare facts of that, and you don't get to know Taravangian, you're like, oh, he's a shit character. Like he's evil, he's bad for like what he's doing in the diagram.
Irrelevant in the first part of Way of Kings until the very end. You're like,
well, like, but the thing that like is so impactful about him is when you get intimate moments with him talking, bro, he cries thinking about people dying. He wants his surgeons to save people constantly.
He thinks he's doing the right thing.
Like he is compassionate.
He's doing it because, do you know why he's doing all this?
Well, because he doesn't think they can win, and he thinks that Odium needs to be in charge, to my understanding.
Okay. Well, I'm not saying anything then, because I thought it had already been talked about.
Oh, the other thing that he reveals. Oh, duh. The main thing that gets revealed in that moment as well is that the humans are the Voidbringers, that they are not original to Roshar. So that's one of his big things as well, is he's like, if this isn't our land, like, I don't think we need to be. And who knows if that's actually what he thinks, but that's like what he puts up as a front. Yeah. It's kind of his main thing is like, we're not the owners of this land, so like we shouldn't be fighting for it, which is a complicated plot point, dude. It does, as a reader, make you go, dang, like what is right? Like what is right?
Yeah.
They came here and brought their freaking desolation of a god. How did Vivenna and Vasher get there, bro? How did Wit get there? I don't know. Bro. There's a freaking Marta bus freaking all over the galaxy that's just taking you wherever. Oh, but Vivenna, or Azure, does talk about it a bit. She says she went through a portal.
I think, this is again a theory, I think it's through Shadesmar somehow.
That would make sense. Yeah.
If I had to guess.
You're right. Because the guy they meet in the lighthouse knows about different magic types. So it has to be. At first he thinks that they're using biochromatic breath. He doesn't say that specifically, but he says something.
Dude, I can't wait to go back and read it after I've done some of that. Just because some of that, like I forgot about the lighthouse guy. I mean, he's such a small part. But
okay, is that lighthouse guy the same guy that's in the lighthouse interlude? Do you remember the lighthouse interlude where there's just a random dude who's picking up pieces of their town in a wheelbarrow after the Everstorm comes through, and he keeps referring in his mind to a story his grandfather told him? Eventually, people will come from the, what do they call it? It's the origin. They'll come from the direction of the origin, and they'll have light in their pockets.
Probably, bro.
It's like, is that the same guy? Does he go back and forth between Shadesmar and this? But then he also shows, that's another big thing in Shadesmar. I mean, we were bouncing back and forth. Sorry. He shows Kaladin the future, and the future was right. He shows Kaladin Dalinar being surrounded by the Unmade in Thaylen City. That's why Kaladin wants them to go to Thaylen City in Shadesmar, is because he sees that future. And then the whole time, Shallan keeps repeating that quote from Jasnah, like, never trust anyone who claims to know the future. And then that gets compounded further with Renarin, dude. All right, we got to stop before we talk about Renarin, because I want to.
That was another scene I was gonna get yadded, bro. Which,
yeah, we'll get into we'll talk about that and some character development stuff. But just
what
to kind of
your plot hole to go back.
Oh, sorry. Yes, that's what I wanted to get back to. That's the only thing it's not a plot hole. It's something about that doesn't add up to me for Dalinar's character. He finds out Taravangian did all this stuff. And not just that he lets Taravangian still be a part of it. I get Taravangian's necessary. They need the coalition to work. But he doesn't think that Taravangian let them into Aretharu. When they bring it up in the end of the book, someone says, do you think it could have been Taravangian? He said no. Like, that's not what he would want. It's like, what are you talking about, Dalinar? He killed all of the kings, or half the kings across Roshar with the assassin in white. He betrayed you and released all your information. Why would he not have done that final piece?
Yeah, he trusts
that's
him
a
lot,
huge.
dude.
Yeah, that's a huge, like, kind of like, it doesn't add up for me, especially right after you find out that Taravangian's been lying about everything the entire time. You just don't think he did Aretharu. How do you not put those two together? How could it have happened at the same time if it wasn't him? So that kind of frustrated me.
Or I guess at least in
well, he says
War,
that he doesn't believe that Taravangian did it.
How does it end though? Because they get married at Aretharu, Adolin and Shallan, so they go back and they're good. They like go back and secure the.
Yeah. They secured Aretharu and everything. Yeah, but the reason they did is because of Teft, which was another great scene. Teft ends up becoming a full Radiant.
Yeah.
So he's able to like power everybody up and like beat everybody. So by the time you get a glimpse of Aretharu being attacked, next thing you know, Teft is coming through the Oath Gate. So you just off
the other
screen,
guy who
page.
gets it that I thought was super cool was Lopin. His arm growing back and everything was so cool.
Well, his arm grew back in Words of Radiance. He gets his Spren though at the end of Oathbringer.
Okay. Okay.
And his Spren's like a little boy.
Funny. He says something funny though. There's a line that he has when he says his ideal, and I can't remember what it was.
Well, the Spren shows up, and he's like, "Wait, right now? This is when you do it? Like, I wanted it to be a cool moment." That's basically what he says. Okay. He's like complaining about the time that the Spren decided to like actually let the like accept the ideal. Because he's explaining it to another person. He's like, you got to say these words, and then he says them for the other person.
Oh, that's
and then his Spren shows up, and he's like, seriously, now?
That's right.
Which Lopin is a great character.
He's not in it much, but when he is, it's hilarious. And good comedy.
So to keep talking about the final act in Thaylen City, let's just not in order hit some things that happen. The first thing that comes to mind. Jasnah is the most powerful one in the freaking world, bro.
I was wondering when
Jasnah is so AP. And by the way, for those of you that are watching and are Stormlight fans, I'm not saying Jasnah. It's a J. I'm saying Jasnah.
It's supposed to be Jasnah?
Brandon says Jasnah. I'm not saying Jasnah.
Jasnah, dude. And Jasnah can get it, brother.
I mean, Jasnah's great in all the ways. But, dude, she's just so, like... I mean, you see her vulnerability some through Shallan's POV, like, even in Words of Radiance before she gets killed on the ship, you know that she has some struggles or whatever. And you find out that in her past, she apparently completely lost her mind, which we don't know much about. But when she was young, apparently had a complete psychotic break. You seem to know more about it than I do.
Dude,
but
all I know is I can't wait for a Jasnah book where you're getting her flashbacks.
Oh, I can't wait.
Because we haven't had her...
no. But, dude...
Radiant Order.
Yeah, so... final act in the battle, like she's super OP. She basically is in between Shadesmar and the physical realm and just doing godlike stuff. But she's not only doing
She's
it,
changing the structure of stuff, right? She just
but she's
whatever.
doing it like nonchalantly. Like Shallan notices that like
She's
not even trying right now. She has so much control over her power. So I do think Jasna, as far as the end of Oathbringer, like where I'm at now, Jasna is the most powerful Radiant.
So she ain't at number 4?
Mm-mm.
It doesn't say that?
No, there are no Radiants
I think she's at 4.
that have on page said
I don't know why,
the
but
fourth
I
ideal.
think she is. Because I don't remember her doing it. And I mean, I don't know why, I just think she is.
I mean, unless I'm
Without
forgetting
her-
something.
'cause
I mean, a lot happened.
No, I think all her stuff is just off page. Like, I think it's just kind of revealed to you that she... And that's kind of why
she's really been grinding.
Yeah, she's been out here putting in some time. Because, like you're saying, she's just kind of not really even having a try.
Yeah.
In that, which kind of shows you she's got another level, which the only way for her to have another level is for that.
Yeah.
So, at least that's why I said what I said. Is there anyone at 4? Because that's who I thought was at 4.
Gotcha.
Which, again, it's
no one's
you
at
don't
4
ever
right
get
now.
POV Jasna chapters.
You get a couple, but not
You
many.
do?
You get like
Okay.
2 or 3.
Yeah, she's
Might
so
only be one
scattered.
actually.
You
But
don't get to know much
it
about
makes
her.
sense though, because in the final act you're like
Wait, how does it end? It ends with what they decide to do.
making her queen.
Isn't that
Dude, I was like,
Such a good
that is
call.
perfect.
Such a good call, dude.
But right when they started saying it, when Adelin's like, I'm not gonna be king, I immediately went, bro, Jasna. It has to be Jasna.
See, I don't know why I missed it. I don't know. I mean, so much is happening. I didn't even think, but I'm like, oh,
I mean, it makes complete sense, bro. She's so cut out for it. I mean, I imagine she's going to be running shit in Rhythm of
because
War.
she's the perfect combo of like. Anyway, I mean, yeah.
And her sprint is like I still don't fully understand, but her
I
sprint
don't
is something different. Her sprint is not the same as the other sprint.
dude.
Like, he's a standalone. He doesn't like any of the other sprint.
Yeah,
Like,
I can't remember what kind of sprint.
And he's
it is,
younger
honestly.
than them. He's like an ink sprint is what they keep calling him, an ink sprint. I think.
Yeah, I
His
think
name's
you're right.
Ivory. Hers is the best looking sword as far as the pictures I've seen.
Yeah.
Ivory looks so sick as a shard blade. So that's Jasna. Yeah, she doesn't have a ton. It's crazy. She's on the cover of the book. She's barely in it, and then she's like a god in the end. Alexa, stop. I just realized Alexa's been playing Thunderstorm sounds the entire time. So, okay, that's Jasna in the final act. She's super, super powerful, super confident in her powers. And let's just transition right from there to Renarin, because in the final act, Jasna almost kills him. And, dude, that was one of the moments that made me cry.
Dude.
When
He's like not even in the books, and then all of a sudden just hits. Dude.
Well, you all of a sudden find out, oh, that's a
got a
void
void
sprint.
sprint.
Like, that is not a normal sprint. But you see that, like, he's trying, like, he's caught in the middle. Like,
he still wants to do the right
he
thing.
wants to do the right thing. He didn't even mean to. Like he says, I didn't mean to bond this sprint. But he sees a bunch of different possible outcomes of the future. And this is such a good build up to Dalinar's moment, because you hear him saying, no, father, like, no, don't do that. Please, no. And then you get the idea that he is seeing, like, Jasna in the future kill him. And she has her shard blade in her hand. And she also has her hand on his shoulder. Like, she's letting him know she's about to kill him. And, bro, he just turns around and nods at her. Dude, that made me cry. It was like, bro, this young kid is just ready to die, bro. Because he knows, like, I'm not, like, I'm doing something wrong. Like, I don't know what's wrong.
It's my fault.
It's all my fault. Like, because he's such a, like, broken character.
Yeah.
Like, he's so broken by his, fits he has, which I don't know. It's supposed to be epilepsy or some other maybe like Spectrum-esque type of thing.
Yeah.
Like maybe both. I don't really know what it is. Maybe it's a made up thing. I don't know. But he definitely has major struggles, like lots of social issues, like that kind of thing. And then before Jasna does it, which, I mean, I knew she wasn't about to kill Renarin.
I thought she was going to kill him, bro.
No, I knew she wasn't. I
I
was
thought
like,
she
there's
had
no
to.
shot.
Well,
There's no
I thought
shot.
for some reason it's like, all right, you just got to, and then we'll find out more later, like why. But I
We'll
thought
find
she
out
knew
later why
something
that was a
we
mistake
didn't-
or something.
Well, I thought she knew something that I just didn't know. I just trusted Jasna.
Oh, I think she does. I think she knows a lot that she's not putting on the pages
yeah,
of Brandon
for
Sanderson's book.
Sure. For sure. But yeah, I mean, and then that eye-opening moment of like, oh, like what I see can change.
Yeah, it's like a Paul Atreides thing. Like, this isn't necessarily for sure going to happen.
That scene though, that fan art with the like broken window glass, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
So good.
such a good. Well,
you got so mad at me for knowing that was Renard.
It just doesn't even make sense how you know, because that moment, and it's like, how do you even know that? Like, that's so far ahead that like you shouldn't even know what that is. But whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Jasna and Renard, and a little bit more, I guess, on Renard is that like
he's OP too, bro.
I mean, he's OP. He comes out and kills that. What was it? Mythoclast? What are they called?
The rock thing? Is
the
that
big
what it
rock
was?
boys?
Yeah.
He comes out and kills one by himself. Adelin's out there struggling just to cut a toe off the thing, and Renard's like, hey, bro, I got it. Go do some human shit. I got this. And then he goes out there,
so bad for
gets
Adeline.
crushed by it, and then just pops right back up. And Adeline in his head is like, oh, so I guess Renard can just heal himself like constantly. So he can get crushed by a stone creature that weighs like 85 million tons and just recover immediately.
Yeah, he can heal anybody. That's what's just.
And
I
then
mean, which Stormlight already kind of does that, but
Yeah.
his just another level.
And then he doesn't kill it. He makes it go away. He makes like whatever's inside it, the void sprint, leave it, and the thing just goes back into its slumber. And it's like, dude, Renarin's on a different level.
His Radiant Order is called the Truth Watchers.
But see, is it because Jasna says like he's a liar, like he's not a truth watcher? Does that just mean like he is a truth watcher but got the wrong sprint and he still has similar powers? I mean, I guess it is because he still sees the future, right?
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm just.
It's a little confusing.
Jasna's an Else Caller.
Yeah, an Else Caller.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, who knows?
But
okay, so still
we haven't even talked about Dalinar back story at all.
Yeah, we haven't.
Which is crazy.
So let's get into it then. Let's just talk about Dalinar for a minute.
Okay.
Let's go through his whole thing. So,
dude, there's one moment in there where obviously the one moment is tragic, but there's a moment, dude, that he has with Rhiannon.
Made me cry.
Oh, I cried.
Made me cry,
hard,
dude. Made
dude.
me cry. Okay, so let's lead up to that. So, the flashbacks are basically giving you everything that Dalinar has forgotten about his wife and his past. And it's just a lot of warmongering, like violent murder, a lot of the thrill.
You get why he has this, especially in The Way of Kings, the Black Thorn.
You get why he has his reputation.
Yes.
So a lot of scenes with him and Evie, his wife, and like Evie's like of a different religion, of a completely different disposition, and she like keeps trying to encourage Dalinar to not just be a killer and to like spend time with his family, and he's just like, no, I am a killer. You know who you married, and I got to go fight. So it leads up to him having to go out to the Rift, and Evie ends up showing up with Adeline and Renarin, and in that scene you learn that he's never even freaking met Renarin. He just like forgot about his other son that he left back with Evie. And then, I mean, long story short, he ends up accidentally murdering his wife in fire. So he does something crazy because Tanalanan, whatever his name is, Talanalan, the kid that he didn't kill to get Oathbringer, I think that's where he got Oathbringer.
Yeah.
The kid that he spared ends up being a thorn in his side. When he goes to that kid's city, that kid comes out and tells him, okay,
he tricks him.
He tricks him into thinking that Sadeas betrayed him. And then he goes and chases after what he thinks is Sadeas' little contingent of his army with a shard bearer. They try to bury him, try to push an avalanche on Dalinar. Don't know what they thought that was going to do to the Blackthorn, but he's fine. Yeah. He gets out, and then he wreaks havoc on the Rift and on that city. I mean, he lights it on fire and kills
especially after
everyone.
They have that little camp thing, and she I can't remember the specifics. You probably do, but it's just he leaves her on such a bad note, dude.
Well, he does tell her though. She asks him, "Is there any way you can do this without fighting?" And that's before. That's before the betrayal.
Think he's gonna,
because he tries. Yeah, that's right.
And then he's betrayed, and then she's like, "Don't do this," kind of. And I can't remember the specifics of it, but I feel like she even kind of says she won't talk to him if she does. She tries to do something, I feel like, and then
and he basically says I'm gonna do exactly what I need to do, and then he says to the other people in the room, get my wife into another room where she can go cry somewhere else, essentially.
Yeah.
He says a major asshole comment to her and then leaves. And so he wants to punish everybody in the Rift, wants to kill all of them. He gets consumed by the thrill, lights the entire city on fire. While he's doing that, he's looking for the young kid that's in charge of the Rift, and he goes to the place where he was once held. Where he found the kid and his parents way back in the past. And he looks for him there, doesn't see him, but thinks he hears somebody screaming, and then just leaves. And then you find out later that was Evie, bro. She had come. Oh, so tragic.
To do a deal, yeah.
Yeah, she had come to them like trying to do a deal so that they didn't have to fight and kill each other.
'Cause she knew what he was capable. She knew what he was gonna do.
She knew he was gonna kill all. It wasn't even for his sake. I mean, it was, but not for his physical safety, but because she was trying to change him and all. And she ended up dying in flames, bro. Locked away in flames and alone. And the Halen Lennon guy, when Dalinar ends up catching him after that guy's family gets killed, he starts laughing because Dalinar tells him, like, I went and looked for you in the place that I found you last. And the dude just starts laughing, and he's like, bro, that's where we put your wife.
Can you imagine laughing, dude, at that point in stage, though? Especially, I know this
he
guy
knew his life
killed
was
this dude's
over.
dad, but, like, he did save his life. Dalinar saved this kid's life.
Yeah.
And anyone else would have killed him.
Yeah.
So...
And especially for the Blackthorn not to have killed him is insane. So you get that, and then so at that point you understand, okay, that's why he didn't want to remember, because not only was their relationship terrible and was he a complete asshole, and not only did he neglect his children, but he got his wife killed in fire.
Bro,
and he heard her scream.
It also connects some dots, dude, because you realize this dude, especially like what the repercussions after that and like how he's able to deal with it before he goes to the Night Watcher with just drinking constantly and like being that guy, and that, you know, he was hammered when Gavilar got killed.
Yeah, hammered.
So, you know, it's just those type of implications.
Yeah. But the scene that you're talking about, before he goes to the Night Watcher, after Evie is dead, he's gone into his room, and he's like making noise or something. Adolin and Renarin both come in to like check on him. And Adolin, like, kind of gets a little attitude with him because Dalinar's a dick about it. And then he tells him to leave, and then he turns around, and he doesn't see the doorway anymore. And then he hears a voice say, Father? Like, and then he's like, Adolin, I swear if you don't. And then he turns around, and it's Renarin standing there with a little freaking shooter of alcohol. And he's like, I found this for you. Like, and Renarin's just trying to help, dude. He doesn't even fully understand. And Dalinar has this moment where he's like, my sons that I've neglected are now like bringing me alcohol and fueling my addiction just as a way to like get me to not be mad at them and to like have some sort of connection. And he just breaks down and starts crying. And he's like,
well, the moment that hits, dude, is when he's like, I bet your mom said that I was like some.
Oh,
and then he's like, no,
dude.
She said that you were the best, like
the greatest man in Elithkar.
And it was just like, and that was when he's like, because she had every right to kind of bash him, and she never did, dude.
She never did.
She
painted him as a god.
To look up to their dad, and it's just like,
oh, dude, it's so heartbreaking. And he holds Renarin, and just like cries, and asks. I mean, in his mind, he asks if, like, he's like, please just kill me, like, please kill me. So then on the way to Elhokar, you know, this is still in the flashbacks. Young Elhokar, who is now king, wants everybody to go to the Shattered Plains and make these people suffer, which full circle brings you to the Way of Kings. But before that, on the way out there, Dalinar visits the Night Watcher. Yeah. And I think we kind of touched on this already. The Night Watcher, you realize the Night Watcher can only give people like kind of like not material things, but things that are obvious. Like, I can make you never fall in battle. I can make your sword always strike true. Like stuff that like you would think a man would ask for, but when he starts asking for forgiveness, the Night Watcher is like, what? No, don't you want like, do you want women? Like, what do you want?
Yeah, fame. Yeah.
Fame, yeah. And then Cultivation comes out and was like, I got this one.
Yeah.
Which is so cool, because I just didn't expect that to be the moment that the Stormfather had told Dalinar that he had met Cultivation. I just didn't expect it to be that moment.
Yeah.
And so he essentially just asks like to be forgiven, and Cultivation can't actually do that. So the way that and it's cool, dude, the way that she does it, because you realize she's the god of cultivation. She wants to see growth. So she can't forgive him, but what she can do is take away his memories for a time and let them slowly come back when it's necessary so that he can grow.
Yeah.
Because she realizes he can't grow right now. He's just going to end up drinking himself to death.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. It's a dagger for him for 6 years because he doesn't know what the heck is going on.
Yeah. But it allows him to build a relationship with Navani, which, dude, she carries the next book, dude. Carries. Dude.
Let's go. I like Navani a lot. She's
solid in the next book, too.
Yeah.
You really, get to appreciate her more. And so, anyway, who knows if they would have even been a thing.
Yeah.
You know, I know he always liked her. before. But anyway.
So yeah, Dalinar's backstory is just completely tragic, but the whole culmination of it to kind of get to this point with Dalinar, I mean, he's been hearing in his head unite them forever, since the beginning of the books almost. He's had trouble with it. He's obviously not had his memory, so he's not fully known even who he is. When he gets it all, Odium comes to him in Thaylen City and says, like, I will take this pain from you. He said, the stuff you did's not even your fault. And it's like almost like a parallel to like a Jesus Satan like temptation.
Yeah.
Like the 40 days in the wilderness. Like he's like, you know, I could just do this for you really quick. And Dalinar is like, wait, like he's like thinking through it, and he's like, no, like this pain is who I am.
Yeah.
And so it's just such a powerful moment because Odium thinks he has him, because Dalinar falls to his knees and Odium like turns around and starts talking to somebody else. And then Dalinar's just like, you cannot have my pain.
Yeah.
And dude, that is just such a good, it's such a cool concept and a good line, because it's like, you know, our pain does make us who we are. And like the bad things we experience do form us. And Dalinar's like, bro, you can't have it. Dude. And dude, it was so cool because Odium's like, what? And then once Dalinar's, these glory spren start coming en masse towards Dalinar, and it says Odium like faltered back when that happened. Odium is like, oh shit.
Dude, I've heard that the, it's not called graphic audio, but it's like a specific audio. We need to listen to it after this, dude. I've heard it's so good, dude. It's like where they, it's not just.
Look at that too. You'll have to put that on the screen.
That's sick.
Yeah.
I'll show you the other ones I have too. But there's like, it's like an audible, but like with the sound of the battle and stuff. It's like
I bet it's
and
so
they
good.
do it for certain scenes. And dude, I've heard it that one is just so good.
Yeah, I bet it is really good.
But dude, oh man, there's just a continuation of that, man. And Rhythm of War, dude, it's so good.
Yeah, and I thought it was cool. Like, you know, Dalinar has this whole thing. So he goes from there. Odium flees at this moment. None of the Fused or anybody wants to actually mess with Dalinar, but they're kind of watching him. And Dalinar's whole like big thing in this battle is that he captures the thrill. He captures an unmade, and the way he does it is just a further, like development of his character, because he's like not mad at the thrill. Once he realizes it for what it is, he's like, thank you. Like, thank you for getting me like through everything that you got me through. And so he accepts it back into him, and in that moment catches it in that gemstone, that ginormous ruby. I mean, it was just so good, dude. It's just so good, bro. Like Dalinar's character, I mean, bro, he walks out there, and at this point, Amaram's and Sidaeus' old army are like already void, like they're red-eyed, like they've betrayed him. He walks out there with no shard blade, no shard plate, with a book in his hand, and is like, I'm about to do this different. And then next thing you know, bro, he's honing the power of honor and pulling the other Radiants and Adeline out of Shadesmar to join the battle. And that was a cool moment too. When he does it, he sees Kaladin, he sees Shallan, and then he sees Adeline. He's like, thank God. And then a moment passes or whatever, and he's like, Elhokar's not here. And it brought me right back, dude, and just made me, dude, when I finished this book and I put it down and slapped my hand on it, and that like good feeling of finishing a book, you want to know what the first word that came out of my mouth was? I just went, Elhokar. I immediately said that, dude, after I finished the book.
You just never think that you're going to care. It's like, all right, if anyone could die, it's like, all right, I'll take an Elhokar death. Like, of all the characters, Elhokar. And then it's just like, wait. Elhokar?
Careful what you wish for, dude. Elhokar. Oh, no.
Oh, man.
And just the way it happened, bro, the fact that it was Moash. So, okay, let's talk some more characters that we haven't talked about as much. Let's talk about Kaladin a bit. We haven't talked about Kaladin. And Kaladin's not like he doesn't have a lot of huge development. If anything, he has some like
regression,
undevelopment.
It's the reality of man. I would say it sucks because you want to see Kaladin just be the dude who just carries. Because it's like, especially when you start hearing about the champion stuff, it's like Kaladin needs to start getting ready, bro. Because you know the whole time you're like, dude, Kaladin's gonna have to step up at some point and be that. But it is the reality of like you can't. It's not always all up. And that, you know, he still has not gotten over a lot of stuff where he just takes so much responsibility for everything. Instead of just letting stuff go, especially stuff that, like, he has no control over.
Right.
And, but it adds to his character, obviously, because, I mean, that's why, like, he still cares about Moash, dude.
Yeah.
Which is such a dagger, bro. He's got to let him go,
bro.
man.
Let him go. Stab
it's just,
him in
that's
the
why
face.
the whole Bridge 4 thing, I mean, just sets him back. I mean, Elhokar was already dead anyway, but, I mean, it locks him up.
But what first locked him up wasn't even Moash. It's when he saw, like, Sal or Cal or whatever those Parshmen were that were fighting.
Yeah.
And then he starts seeing
the
Wall Guard and the Parshmen killing each other, all these people that he knew on different sides, and he's like...
Because he can't take his people dying.
He can't. I mean, bro, he
can't
cannot
take death.
Ever since TN, bro, he cannot handle any of
the Bridge 4
dying.
guys die. I mean, he can't do it, and he'll like promise. I mean, and that's, but I mean, not to get too much into it, but I mean, it has to do with his ideals. So I mean, that it is a part of who he is. Because I can't remember his specific first ideal, but it's about like.
Well, the first one is the normal one, but then the second ideal is I will protect those who cannot protect themselves.
And so. That's why it hits so hard, dude.
Yeah,
which,
I mean,
you can only imagine what that next level up is going to be. Oh, dude.
I can't, actually. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I guess you can. Yeah, it's just... So it's integral to... Or it's like such a detailed part about his character, so it sucks because it's not as fun to read.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, I think Sanderson just does
I trust in Sanderson.
Yeah, you can't... It's just... Yeah, it's not what you want, but it's like... I mean... It makes sense. He's not doing it in a way where it's like, oh, he could have done that better. It's like, to me, it's like, I mean, I can't imagine. I can't imagine what it's like to be in Kaladin's spot, and especially for that to be like who he is, the like, I got to save everybody guy.
Yeah.
And watching people die.
But still has constantly told him throughout the books, you can't save everyone. So there's got to be, as far as his ideals are concerned, there's got to be something there that like, there's got to be something. Oh, okay. Okay, well, that makes sense.
He's got to let some stuff go, dude, and it's just, when is he going to let some stuff go?
Dang, okay.
You know, to kind of think about, it's like, well, you can't save everyone.
Yeah, you can't. You always will try to protect those who can't protect themselves, but you can't.
Which is a great ideal, but it's just, stuff happens, dude.
And what was his third one?
I think that one is the third one. I think the first one is just bonding, or maybe not.
Or maybe it's the part that he adds where he's like, I will protect even those that I hate, as long as it is right. I think that's the third ideal, because that's when he saves Elhokar.
That's right, because that's why the whole Moash thing.
Dude, I just realized. That's like it's an even deeper dagger, because he saved Elhokar from Moash before, and then Moash came in and killed him. So it's like a repeat, dude. I just put that together.
So he can't do anything right. Yeah, he's just... Or he can't. He feels like he can't do it. Yeah. There's nothing he can do.
Because the thing that he stopped from happening once just ended up happening later.
Yeah. Except this time he didn't contribute to it. Like,
well, yeah, that's
you know
true.
what I mean?
That's
like
true.
It's not his. Well,
because
you could argue that it is his fault because he locks up, seeing whatever. But yeah, it's not like he partook in it where like he's like, all right, I'm going to turn away while you do this. Like he was like Moash was trying to get him to do. So
overall, Kaladin in this book is kind of. I mean, he still has great moments and stuff, but he's kind of more of just
he takes a
tool
step back
in the book.
Sure, yeah.
Like not like a douchebag. Like he is a device in the book to like get stuff going, because he is still very powerful, all that kind of stuff. He's got his squires in Bridge 4, so
which I think that's cool.
Which they're not staying squires forever, apparently, because I mean the Lopin and Teft have now advanced,
and that's why.
And Teft has his own squires now. It says
before,
at the end of the book.
It was, I think we had talked about, it was in another video, and it was just like how nothing matters from the before, and it was like, dude, if you're having to wait 10 seconds, you're dead.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, bro, as you can already see, I mean...
Which, again...
Everybody about to be just...
It just puts my boy Adolin another step back. And I freaking cannot stand it. But at the same time...
It's so integral to who
it's what makes
though.
His character so great, dude. Is he is not letting any of that get him down.
No, he doesn't matter to him. He's just doing what he can. Which just only furthers that. The only other character I would say that we haven't talked about as much...
And we haven't talked much about Shallan.
True. I guess I would avoid that on purpose, but...
Shallan's very important, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she's
so important.
arguably the most important one so far, because she gets them through so many things. And then in the end, dude, she does have a sick moment, bro. She makes an entire army come to life. Yeah. Like, of just all her different drawings and people she's known. But she accomplishes making them physical. Yeah. Like, they can actually fight, whereas in Shadesmar, they were just illusions that you would go right through. And some of them still did, I think, if you gave them enough force or something, because Szeth was still blowing through them when he was flying around. So I think it just depends. But either way, dude, like, she saved everybody from getting just shellacked immediately, because she put an army out there to kind of... So as annoying as Shallan's POV chapters are, and we've talked about this before, Shallan is great when she is not the POV character of the chapter.
I agree with
I
that.
love Shallan. When you're seeing her from someone else's perspective, you're like, wow, I love her. When you start getting inside her mind,
it's just because it's so much, dude. It's so much with her lack of trust in herself and like can't
just
really
the whole
figure
split
out
personality.
who is who, and it's like I can't really be myself, so I got to be these other people, and it's just like.
But I don't even get why she can't be herself anymore. You've admitted to everything that happened. I hate that you've read Rhythm of War, man.
Me too, brother.
Oh, God. All right, well, let's get off Shallan, then. Let's get off Shallan. All right, a couple of things. Oh, we forgot this with Kaladin. He did get a really nice resolution in the end of the book. He got to kill Amaram.
Yeah.
So that was cool. That was a really good fight scene. I mean, he's fighting Amaram, who was like OP and turning into like a freaking rock person. And then you have a bunch of the fused fighting him at the same time. So he's like getting his ankles broken mid-fight, having to re-heal real quick, getting his freaking like, ribs all crushed in, and he's having to heal real quick. So he used up a lot of Stormlight, which is another thing that's interesting. You start to see how much Stormlight each of them use, and it indicated that Kaladin used more than anybody else.
Oh, he
just sucks that Stormlight right up, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we've done Dalinar. We have done Kaladin.
Vinley, I feel like, is the one we haven't really talked about a lot. Which she's not in it a ton, but she ends up obviously playing a huge part in the next book.
Yeah, and so she's like a secret Knight Radiant now who can...
So now you're seeing the potential where, And
she has little Timbre. The new little Sprint.
Yeah.
Who I really like, dude. I like that little Sprint.
Yeah.
I'm ready for him to start talking.
She ends up really developing a lot in the next book.
Yeah.
It's not the best. I mean, it's good development. It's just, there's so many other characters that develop he just does such a good job with. It's like she's not up there at the top with watching her character arc, but it still is cool to see. And then, I mean, obviously he's foreshadowing, is she always going to be on that side?
Yeah, which
I feel like is not a shocker.
Yeah, who knows, because she's still
who knows though. Yeah, it's just you end up realizing how much more complicated it is, and that's why in Rhythm of War, my favorite part is you really get to know some of the fused, and dude, they're so cool. So
I'm excited for that. Which
anyway. I
figured it was very heavily on the Voidbringers because it's called Rhythm of War, and they're all about rhythms of peace, rhythm of this. So I figured this is all about really the Parshendi point of view or whatever. Yeah, Vinley's cool. I mean, to talk about cool moments with Vinley, dude, when Dalinar brings her into the vision and Odium breaks in, just the perspective of her looking at Dalinar, it changes something in her. She's like, dude, Dalinar's just standing up to this guy right now. Not only is he doing that, he's trying to keep me from getting hurt in this vision. And then in the end, when he is surrounded by Glory Sprint and doing his honor thing, he says something to her. And I forget what it is, but he says something to her where he's like, you can, he says you can change like I did. And is basically encouraging her to I don't know if he's specifically encouraging her to say the ideal and say the words or whatever, but he's encouraging her to swap sides because he can see that she's not sure. And dude, she's a tragic character, bro. She's the only one left of her people because they've all been changed.
Well, there's someone that you know.
Oh, Relainen, whatever his name is. Oh, dude, where was he at in this book? You barely saw him. You barely see him. Oh, my God, dude. Oh, so there's two. Oh, dude. And I think it's cool.
He does such a good job of setting stuff up. And dude, wait, there it is.
Wait, I forgot about this character. Yeah. But I think it's really cool that, she at least thinks that she can keep it hidden from Odium. That she's a Knight Radiant, which, again, just...
You realize that Odium's not.
He's not omnipotent.
So
he's not all powerful.
He's obviously super OP, but he doesn't know what everybody's thinking, and
he's just got limits, dude. He's got hecka limits. Okay, so that's Vinley pretty much. I think we've said on that. I'm just kind of scrolling through my notes here. I put Adolin, such a great character, takes everything in stride. Odium is an actual god. Humans are the Voidbringers. Jasna is queen, and I think the most powerful. Renarin bonded with Odium Sprint and is also super strong. Oh, Bridge 4. Teft's story. Dude. It's so good, dude. It's so good in this book. Dude, what?
I can't.
Dude, stop.
I can't do this. God. I wish you've read Rhythm of War. All right, keep going.
All right, in Oathbringer, without knowing what happens in Rhythm of War, Teft's story. Oh, dude.
I shouldn't have said it. I didn't even say anything. That's the crazy part.
Oh, dude, I feel like I know what's gonna happen. Tev's story is really cool, at least in Oathbringer, man. I mean, a druggie to a Radiant.
Especially because you don't see it coming that he's going to be the guy that you get kind of some depth.
Yeah, like, and it's just, I like that Sanderson does this, and that, in effect, the Spren do this. They want people to be, and Lopin says it in the end, they want people to be broken, which is like a very, like, heavily, like, religious, like, kind of theme, like, that you've got to be broken before, like, you can actually see the light. You've got to hit rock bottom before you can really rise.
Yeah.
And so you see that the most in Teft. It's kind of like a little miniature version of Kaladin, and it's different because Kaladin wasn't a drug addict. But
they still keep supporting him, dude. They're still his boys, dude. It's like a true picture of real friendship where it's like, all right, where's Teft? It's about like, oh, I haven't seen him in a while. All right, let's go find Teft and bring him back. They're not just gonna let Teft keep doing his
as
thing,
much
like,
as he wants to sit and squalor
and
or whatever.
And that's the he paints a real character in Teft, which is like, you know, someone who has people around them, but like feels like they're almost undeserving, and so they just keep running from it because it's like, oh, they're not really here for me. They're like coming up with the excuses of like, it's only just because you know, I'm helping out in this way, so like if I don't help out in this way, I bet they won't be around. So and then to see that like they still have his back, which to piggyback off Teft, the other character dude that I feel like sets up something big is Rock.
Rock, dude. I mean, to go back, because I was about to say Kaladin didn't even technically kill Amaram. It was Rock that did it.
Yeah.
He shoots that bow. After all the books so far, he's like, I'm not fighting. Like, that's beneath me. That's not what I do. And then he does it to save Kaladin. And you can tell at the end, too, he's kind of like dealing with it, which will be interesting to see if there's any more of that.
You just said something so bad, I just realized. All right, keep going.
You said something?
Yeah, you didn't catch it, so thank God.
I mean, it's going to be in the video.
I'm going to bleep it out.
Oh, God.
I thought that was in this book, dude. Dang.
No, okay. I didn't hear what you just said, but I heard me miss something you said, so I'm glad I didn't hear it. Okay, I know what you're talking about. It's about Rock.
It's about Rock for sure, but just
dang. I just remembered, man. You're gonna have to bleep out all this because that's a spoiler for Rhythm of War. But
and the reason why I was like, oh, dude, that's so cool is because I'm looking at the novellas for Stormlight, so Edge Dancer came out in 2016. Dawn Shard came out in 2020. Apparently, 2023. Horn Eater is supposed to come out.
Another novella. Oh, sick.
So I wonder if that's his last secret project.
Probably not.
Did you know he has one more?
He has one more, but I bet it's not that because he's doing like, I mean, it's
Kid
Cosmere related stuff. No, I mean it's all adult, but if they're supposed to be, I would think not, just because there's already been novellas and that's kind of been a established thing. He's been doing new stuff with this, so I would think not.
Oh, I see what you're saying. But it says 2023 tentative Horn Eater.
I mean,
which just
I don't know if that's coming out this year.
Either. But I saw too, which was kind of cool. That the Ryzen character kind of gets another nod brought back in.
Yeah, when the gem gets stolen, which was that was really cool.
That was another wild part. The gem getting stolen and like that whole, was that an interlude?
Yeah, it was an interlude.
That was wild.
Yeah, it's really sad, dude. Like, and Ryan's.
Is that her name?
I keep saying Ryan.
RYSN. I mean, dude, who knows? Bro?
Who knows? Ryan's in Words of Radiance, I think, when she falls off that great show.
Gets paralyzed.
Like, you're thinking like something sick's about to happen with this girl. Bro, she's just paralyzed.
Nah, dog. She's paralyzed. And she does have the cool
she's in Dawn Shard, by the way. I think she's the main character in Dawn Shard.
Yeah, that's why I'm reading. That's why I saw it. Yeah, she is.
Okay. I don't know why I pointed there. It's over there. But so some other notes I have just on characters. I did put well, and this is jumping to the end, bro, but Wit. I mean, what is Wit? What is Wit? Because
dude,
he can use breath, honestly. And now he has set an ideal, so he's now bonded to a Spren on Roshar, so he's now a Radiant. Up, like,
he's getting all the powers.
I mean, Wit might be the champion that fights OEM's champion if he keeps going on like this.
He's just so, he's so.
But he's.
And obviously, we haven't even read Mistborn, bro. He could be.
Yeah. But he says his purpose, like, is to be in places where he is needed. And it's like, is that an oath, or are you bound by something else? Like, what does that mean, dude? Stop, man. I wish you hadn't read Rhythm of War. God, dude. All right, so moving on from Wit then. Lift has grown on me a lot. We kind of talked about her and Zeth. Seeing Zeth actually use Nightblood was just...
dude, and the way she heals him too. I know you already talked about it, but like seeing it kind of like he's having to use it so much, he's like, oh no.
And it leaves like gray streaks on both of them.
Yeah.
Like it leaves a mark. I mean, yeah, it's just so cool, dude. I'm so excited to see what it's like, Zeth being there with Dalinar, and like if there's more development
Did you see that coming,
with them.
bro? That he was gonna say an ideal to Dalinar? That came out of nowhere for me, bro.
The only I saw it right before he did it. Once it says he's looking at Dalinar, so you know what he's about to do. But leading up to that, no, dude. I was like, I was pretty confident he wasn't gonna join Odium, but I was like, what is he gonna say though?
Yeah.
Like he's such a broken, complicated person. What's he about to say? And then he says Dalinar, and I was like, bro, that makes so much sense, bro. That is Zeth. He wants someone else to tell him what to do.
And this is the first book where you get real perspective on Roshar as a world. Because the other books, you're just so isolated in the Shattered Plains. Mm-hmm. Whereas now, you start getting like what you get from, which I know you kind of got some because we read Edge Dancer. Mm-hmm. So you get the, I should know what they're called. Like that whole kingdom where she does her thing. You don't really get any of that. Yeah, Azir. Mm-hmm. You don't get any of those type of things unless if you've read Edge Dancer, until you come to Oathbringer. Now it's the gravity of situations is getting way bigger. I mean, Jock Hevid is still like getting brought in, but everyone else is just like, oh, you might know someone who's from Shinovar like Zeth, but you don't know what's going on there.
Right. We still don't know what the frick is going on in Shinovar. They have 8 honor blades, bro.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you know the ones they don't have, but
which. That leads me to one of the next people on my freaking list to talk about is Moash. Bro, Moash not only killed Jezrien, but he now has his honor blade, dude. And I am in physical pain thinking about it, dude. Moash, I hate so much, but his story
in that book
is so good, bro. Oh, because he's basically doing...
His character's written so well.
Dude, he's like a not even a foil, but like an opposite to Kaladin, bro, because he's experiencing a lot of things that Kaladin has experienced. And now he was a slave to the Voidbringers. He's just working. He's finding you end up liking about his character that he is finding peace and like purpose in just breaking rocks. Yeah. And he's not asking for anything, bro. He kills Elhokar and doesn't even want his shard blade. He's content with just being a slave.
Wait, so how does he get the honor blade again?
So they give one of the fused is like oh, you talk about, you did good killing a king. Could you do the same thing to a god? Next time you see Moash, he's talking to Jezrien, who, by the way, Dalinar has met before. And I didn't even realize it. He was a beggar that tried to give Dalinar some... it was the beggar that Dalinar drinks with in one of his flashbacks. When he can't find any alcohol, he goes out and drinks with a hobo.
Oh,
that was Jezrien, bro.
I was gonna
the
ask
Herald
you,
of Heralds.
I was going to ask you, bro, about that guy. And if you thought he was from someone from another world.
He's Jezrien, and he's dead now.
Where does he find him? I totally I knew he had an honor
blade. He's in Thaylen City.
Jezrien
is in Thaylen City. The Fuse just tell him who it is, and when he stabs him, he can tell. He's like thinks in his head like, why do the Fuse not want to just do this themselves? Like, what are they scared of? Which I don't know yet. But dude, he stabs Jezrien, and Jezrien's like, Then he's like, wait. What is this death? He starts saying, what is this death, dude? And that was like,
for so long.
Well, he'd been alive for so long, and he's died thousands of times, and he was like, I'm just going to die again. But now he's like, oh, wait. And then Ash feels it happen while she's leading Talinelat, whatever his name is, while she's leading him, like, wherever they're going.
So he's the old guy who they have, like, kind of locked up with the girl. Because they have 2 heralds. Yeah, or no? You know what I'm talking about? They have 2 heralds that, like, who are those 2 heralds? See, this is where, like, the heralds part is where things get dicey for me.
Ash comes out with Talinelat during the battle, but they don't help fight. You see them come out during the Thaylen Field battle.
Killed.
No, that's Jezrien. Jezrien is the guy who had the honor blade that Zeth used that Moash now has. He's the Herald of Heralds, bro. He's like, bro, he's the dad of all the other heralds. Yeah. Ash says, my father just died. Like, when it happens.
Oh, because they can feel it.
Yeah, they feel it happen. Like his soul actually dying.
Yeah.
And that's kind of crazy, bro. I mean, that brings you full circle back to the prologue, bro. Yeah. He's one of the first characters you met when he abandons the Oath Pact, and now you're like, he's dead. And it makes me want to know where the frick Calic is, bro. Where is he at, man?
There's how many left?
Well, there's not, or there's
a bunch left, right?
I think there were
Because
there were
there's
9
killed,
total.
2 killed. You know where 2 or 1 killed.
Yeah,
two of them
two
are
of
with.
them are Talonat and Ash.
And so they're with Dalinar,
They're
essentially.
essentially with Dalinar.
And then, you know,
Because, yeah, Jasmine walks up to them at the end. So, yeah,
you know, the one dude who, like, put everything on his back, Wit, saw him.
Oh, yeah.
But
that's Talon. That's Talon.
Oh, he's the one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, he's
so
the
they
same
have
character.
those 2.
And then you have Nail.
Nail. He's the only one, like, who seems like he's still... I mean, he's obviously still not all there, but...
Nail is a herald, right?
Yeah.
He is one of the heralds, okay.
He's a herald.
And then you have the guy that's trying to take over the world on the other side of the world. You find out he's a herald.
He's the king of
He's
whatever.
a Tukar, or the king of Tukar, something like that. Or they're in Tukar. I forget.
Bro, the honor blades are a problem.
Oh, no, Ash is the one. Ash is the one that's been doing
Someone
that.
else must be dead, though, too, because Zeth had an honor blade.
That was Jezreel's. That's the one Moash now has.
Yeah,
remember, so the honor blade goes from Zeth to Bridge 4. Bridge 4 starts using it. They get attacked in Arethiru, and the next thing you know, the Fused have it. I don't know how. The only other one, they mention where the other one is.
Oh, so he kills him with his own shard blade, or with his own honor blade.
No, he kills him with a knife they give him, and then they give him the honor blade after he kills Jezreel.
Dude, because the knife has...
The knife has something going on, because it killed Jezreel, and he was not expecting to die via knife wound. So, yeah, Shinovar has 7 honor blades. Nail has his honor blade. And Moash now has Jezreel's.
Dude, I can't wait for you to learn more about Zeth. Especially where it leaves you off with Zeth, dude.
I feel like he's going to end up killing Nail.
Because it makes way more sense, like, once you get the background. Because, I mean, you are, like you said, Shinovar somehow has all these honor blades. And that's how Zeth had his, but...
Yeah, and he's trained with all of them. You find out that Zeth knows how to use every single order. And it's like, that's a problem. Like, that's not good for whoever fights Zeth.
God.
Okay, so yeah, that was crazy, man. That shook me when he kills Jezreel, because I was like, you know, we've known about the heralds and that they're here, but you kind of just feel like they don't have a purpose right now. And then once one of them gets killed, you go, oh, that can't be good. Like, even though I know
Especially
they're not
the way
good
they
and
killed,
they're...
or what he gets killed with.
Yeah, you're like, that's a problem.
What
If
is
that
that?
can kill Jezreel, it can kill anybody, right?
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, God, dude.
What else I have here? Finley Ferret. Yeah, I
We
mean,
didn't really talk about Navani at all, but I don't know how... Is she in this book a lot? I can't remember.
yeah, she's in it. She actually has some
Supported.
POV stuff, and she's in there. I mean, she's
supports Dalinar a
mostly...
lot.
Yeah, she's a support for Dalinar. I mean, at one point, she has to carry the squad for Dalinar, because Dalinar is, like,
Dude,
so broken after he remembers
Yeah.
after he remembers Evie's death.
talk about someone who, like, just doesn't ever really take credit for, like, how she carries. You know, like, you know what I'm
Especially
saying?
once
Like,
she finds out Elhokar's dead, she's like, all right, we got to keep moving. We got to win this battle.
But she just, like, she's always out here, like, with all these innovations and stuff, but acts like she's not, like, a scholar. Like, you know, she's
it's
not
a
really
weird...
worthy.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. Which I can't wait for... Well, I don't know, actually.
I want to see what the culmination of her trying to build those flying ships is going to be.
So they've already built them or no?
No, they just had drawing plans of them.
That's what Dawn Shard, I think, is about.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because they have them hoes. I mean, that's the first chapter of Rhythm of War.
Oh, sick. So other things I have here. I mean, overall, I mean, that's pretty much like the notes I have and the things I'm thinking of.
Zahel, though, I think.
Now, you don't see Zahel once in this book, which is weird because, like, why is he not in Arethiru? Which maybe he is.
He is in Arethiru.
Okay.
So he's not in it at all, not even once.
I don't remember
Maybe
him
he's
being
in
in it
it
one
like
time.
once, and he's in it, I think. And dude, I wish I would have read that now before. Now
What?
it makes more
Warbreaker?
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes a lot of that stuff
I
like...
thought it was just the Nightblood stuff, but it's just once you know who these characters are, it just gives you so much more depth to them.
And it makes you wonder, too, like, why do they want to get Nightblood so bad? Like, I get that it's a dangerous weapon and all this stuff, but, like, what is their goal?
It seemed like it was so flippantly made, too. So the fact that it has so much power, I can't wait for the book Nightblood to come out. That's going to be I feel like we're getting some big answers, hopefully, there.
Dude, I just hope...
We'll probably get more questions, actually.
Can I just say, man, I hope nothing happens to Brandon Sanderson. Like,
Dude,
because
he's
there are
looking
a
little
lot
thick, boy.
of like,
Someone needs to get on his diet.
like
He
seriously,
needs to start hitting some walks or something, bro, because we can't have that man dying of some heart disease.
and
You want to talk about a tragedy? Can you imagine if he died? Well, you don't even, dude.
My life,
Dude, if you knew the ending right
there would be a
now-
void in my heart, dude, for the remainder of my life if he died before finishing the Stormlight
Well,
Archive.
bro, I'd make sure he gets this next one out, dude, before you even start Rhythm of War, then, brother.
I'm reading Rhythm of War this year for sure.
Well, you need to for sure. I'm just saying, like, if he
gonna
died,
be
bro,
tough.
dude, if you think right now you have questions, not even close to the questions you're gonna have at the end of Rhythm of War.
And it's
Again,
the
if
end of
you're-
Rhythm of War that really shakes everything up, right?
dude. Maybe chapter. Honestly, it's like, what? Wait, what?
Trying to see.
Dude, you're not gonna be able to guess it. And
No,
anyone who
I'm not
hasn't
trying to
read- No, I'm
guess.
just saying, like, anyone who's read Oathbringer, Rhythm of War gets kind of a lot of slack for. I mean, and this is not like a non-spoiler Rhythm of War pitch, but if you've at least read Oathbringer and you see the hate about Rhythm of War, it's a good book. I mean, it's probably, I don't know, it is a toss-up between The Way of Kings and Rhythm of War being last on the ranking system, but it's just so tough because it sounds like, oh, it's last, so it's not good. No, it's not like that at all. It's just as good. You just get way more setup, and some stuff is more fleshed out, but, I mean, like Jesse knows, there's a chapter in Rhythm of War that, I mean, broke me. Like, in a good way, but, like, I've never... Like, it's my favorite chapter in all of Stormlight. And then the ending as well is just... You will not see the ending coming. It leaves on the most... Dude, in the epilogue with Wit, dude, is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then the chapter before that is also a problem. So, I mean, but it's just... you have to read it to see through fruition, but I mean, there's some of the coolest moments in all of Stormlight in Rhythm of War. So, again, it does get a lot of hate, but it's not deserved at all. Is I guess what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I mean, we better hope. I'm praying for him. He's getting put in the prayer journal, dude, because we need Brandon
Every morning.
every morning, dude. I'm gonna
I
tell
need
Grandma,
that in my life. I need him to
he
hold
needs
on.
to. I don't ever really think about that because, dude, he looks like he needs to touch grass a little bit. And thank God that he grinds as much as he does clearly indoors, because we wouldn't have any of this as fast as we've had it. But
I do need him to take good care of himself. Like, I really need that from him. Like, badly. One thing we didn't mention, we kind of, I think, started to briefly touch on it, but about Taravangian with the diagram when Odeon comes to see him, one of the main things he sees that's like a root of everything is Renarin Colin. He sees his name.
He's vital, bro, and I'm going to be honest with you, I still have no idea. Which, again, that may not be that it's not in Rhythm of War. It may just be, dude, I was grasping at straws, and it wasn't one of the straws I got. When I went to grab, dude, I just didn't get that one.
Didn't have the Renarin Colin straw in my hand at that time.
But I'll tell you, the straws I did pick up, brother, I mean, it's a ride, dude. It's an absolute ride.
Yeah. So, what else on Oathbringer? I mean, any other scenes?
I feel like we're probably forgetting something because it's just so hard. But I feel like we've covered a lot of it.
We've covered a lot.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've read it more recently than I have. I mean, it's just, the scene with, like, as far as scenes that I'll, like, just never forget is Zeth going in with knife blood at the very end.
And slashing through one of the stone monsters.
Dude,
yeah.
that, in, like, the moment, because when he needs Lift to kind of heal himself, because it's like, oh, no, Zeth's not going to make it, kind of. And then, like, Lift shows up. Like, that moment, even though I hate Lift, like, that's such a good moment. Obviously, the you can't have my pain moment, and then again with Rhiannon coming up to Dalinar and him, like, basically asking him, "Oh, like, I bet your mom just bashed me," and he's like, "No, like, you're the best man." And I was just like, oh. So those moments. I mean, obviously him burning his own wife is just insane. But, like, those
Jasna
moments.
almost killing Renarin is a big one.
See,
that
I don't know
comes
why
up
that
for
one
me.
always slips for me, but yeah, that one is obviously huge.
I mean, it's a huge moment. Tef showing up in the Oath Gate was like, that was huge, bro. That was big because it happened. I mean, he gets his. Well, no, he does say his ideal, but you don't see, like, the fruition of it until he just shows up in Thalen City. Trying to think. I mean.
But obviously
Elhokar dying.
Well, and the fact that I don't know why I act like this was such a big thing or not, like I glazed over it, but the fact that they're not even from Roshar is just ridiculous. And that their god wasn't even honored in the first place. That it was Odium is just wild.
Yeah. And it's okay. Another thing that reminds me, the Stormfather talks about it. A cool thing that's happening is Dalinar. The Stormfather is evolving because of his bond with Dalinar. Like, he's seeing things differently. He's understanding things better. He sees, like, the Recreants and the fall of the Radiants differently now. Like, he understands it more. But it's just really convenient as a plot device how the Stormfather's memory works. It's like Dalinar just has to say something, and the Stormfather's like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
He's like, oh, yeah, I can help you do this.
Yeah. But
dude,
then
that happens even more in the Rhythm of War, and it's like, dude, if Dalinar, if you just told Dalinar he could do this whole time, bro, I mean,
well,
Dalinar, I mean, he's already a problem. He would be a problem, dude. What the Bondsmiths can do is ridiculous.
Well, when he brings them in from Shadesmar and that after he says, you cannot have my pain, the Stormfather says, what? How did you do that? Like, he doesn't understand how Dalinar did
he's
what
like
he did.
Still in a way where he still just doesn't, there's all these, like you said, gaps.
They're just all stupid, bro. They're just all so dumb.
We're going to need the sprinter really going to have to figure it out, dude.
They really need to get on it. I think that's, oh, dude. Oh, never mind. I just almost just tripped out. I think that's pretty much it. Favorite character in the series so far for me is Dalinar. It's obviously, I felt that way before going into this book, so I feel like it's, still solid for me. Adolin is a close second, man. I just love not even necessarily the underdog, dude, but the character that doesn't have any of this stuff going for him, bro. Can't rely on Stormlight. Like,
you can't.
Everything that's built him up is kind of starting to be taken away to the degree that, like, he's not the hot shot anymore, which it didn't see. He's never been like a douchebag character. He's always been a really good character. So it's not like he was before, but how he's taking it in stride, dude, the way he views himself, like he thinks he'll never be as good as his father.
Yeah.
Like, just,
he's got a lot of, I mean, all his characters are so real, but Adolin's one of those ones that, to me at least, is so relatable. It's just,
well, he's the one where I go, man, like, I hope I would be like Adolin. If I was thrust in this situation and everybody I freaking knew was a god all of a sudden, I hope I'd be able to just be like, whatever, send me where you need a normal human, and I'll go take care of it.
I can't wait for us to be fully caught up and for us to do a video where we, like, do a tier list of the characters. Because, like, you're saying you're 1 and 2, and it's just, I can't even, like, discredit your 1 and 2, but, like, my 1 and 2 are not that.
What are your 1 and 2? Without telling me why.
Szeth and Jasna. Szeth is
Jasna's
1 for me,
super close.
and then Wit's like 3. And then it's a lot
so
of
you
the
start
minor
saying
characters.
these, and now I'm like, wait.
Well, but it's tough because, dude,
so
I mean, you
hard.
say down. I mean, that's what it's like. You say 1 and 2, and it's like, no, I get, like, I get every reason why they're your 1 and 2,
and I get
like,
yours.
They're so
I get
high
Szeth
for me
and Jasna.
too. Like, it's just it feels disrespectful not to put, like, Dalinar or them there, and then that's not even without talking with who I think really the main character in the series is, which is Kaladin.
Kaladin,
I mean, he's obviously the GOAT, but it's just there's so many, and that just is a hat off to Brandon Sanderson. He just does such a good job.
And you know what I think, bro? I think one day, I mean, I trust in Sanderson, and there have just been hints with Shallan where I'm like, okay. I think one day, dude, it might take book 7 or 8 before we get here, dude, but one day we're going to end up, like, feeling a lot different about Shallan, because it feels like right now.
You get a lot of closure for her in Rhythm of War, I will say.
Okay, good. Well, it just feels like her character development is so, like, difficult for her, so it feels like there's going to be some serious payoff in the future.
There's a lot that happens with her in Rhythm of War. Again, I don't know. For me, we'll talk about it, I guess, like, once you've read Rhythm of War 2, but yeah, I'm curious just to see. I mean, if it's going to be 10 books, dude, who's the first POV character that's dying? Like, actually dying. Not a Jasna death where they come back, like...
I've told you, I will say this.
Dalinar, right?
I think it's Dalinar.
It makes sense.
Which is going to hurt me so badly. But at the same time, now that... I mean, I don't know, dude. Can Dalinar die? I mean, he just did some crazy-ish at the end of this book. Not that he defied death necessarily, but it just makes you wonder, like... Dude's on his third ideal, and he just ripped people out of Shadesmar. What else can he do? He got surrounded by an army of Glory Sprint. It's like, what exactly is going on with him? I mean, he's bonded to the Stormfather.
Yeah.
He can infuse everyone with Stormlight.
The only thing that's so OP, dude, which I think they've talked about this, is how the fused work.
I don't think they've talked about this yet.
About what happens if a fuse gets killed?
Oh yeah, how they just get another body. Yeah, that's
I
so
mean,
that's
dude,
ridiculous.
so I mean, it's an infinite loop.
It's like, what are we doing?
Then, I mean, not to connect dots for you, but I mean, what Moash uses is different.
The knife or the honor
knife.
blade? Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, the fact that he has an honor blade.
I mean, he just
honestly,
became a radiant, dude. Just became a radiant like that. Of all the
he was
people
already a problem.
to get Jezreel's honor blade, like, bro, Moash got it. You're kidding me, dude. The guy that killed Elokar, bro.
He's not gonna do anything, bro. Don't worry. He's just gonna be chill, dude. He's just. Oh yeah, dude. It's like, of all people, bro, Moash is the one who needs to instantly be able to gain abilities.
And it's just frustrating that, like, I don't know, man. It's frustrating that he's such a well-written character.
Oh,
so you hate him, but at the same time, in the back, you're like, I kind of get him though.
He hasn't had any conversations with Odium? He doesn't have any at the end?
No, he had one at the very end.
Where he kind of, what happens?
I think Odium says something to him about, maybe not, is it being a champion that he says something to him about, or is it just?
It kind of like reinforms like his ideology. Or at least it will. I mean, it's not really a spoiler because you already kind of know. Well, I mean, it's just, I don't want to spoil the moment for you if it hasn't happened yet, but I mean, you can kind of see Moash's trajectory. Is he like kind of? Because the whole point about what Dalinar doesn't do is he doesn't give him his pain. Does Moash give him his pain?
So.
Or no? I might have just ruined a little bit for you furthermore.
I think he does. I think I'm just kind of forgetting.
I mean, there's just so many levels to what Sanderson does. It's just Dalinar says no, which, I mean, the whole pain thing, it makes sense. It's like, all right, yeah, like, I'll take away this pain for you so you can keep living. But the thing about that is you'll end up just kind of seeing what would have happened to Dalinar is what ends up happening to Moash. Where now he doesn't feel the pain anymore.
That's not good. I need Moash to feel pain. Okay, well, I think overall we've pretty much covered it. This is the best one in the series so far. I will say this. The Dalinar scene probably wins out, but, dude, the scene where Kaladin jumps in and helps Adolin fight those shard bearers, which was like in the middle of Words of Radiance, I mean, dude, that's still up there, like, might be second best scene so far in all of Words, like, all of these books. Like, bro, he just hops the fence, bro, and just... Because it's just such a culmination of, like, because you want Adolin and Kaladin to be boys. Yeah. And then he does that when they're really not yet. Oh, man, it's just so good. Yeah. I don't even remember what happened in the end of Words of Radiance, to be honest. I can't remember what happened.
When the Words of Radiance
they end up getting to Arethiru. That's right.
Yeah. And Szeth and Kaladin fight.
Szeth and Kaladin fight? Dude, I forgot.
Dude, you want to know something that's wild? And this is already out. Like, he's already released the prologue, for...
For the 5th book? Oh, dude, you can't be reading that to me.
No, I know, but do you know who the POV character is?
It's Szeth, right? Oh no, this is for Gavilar.
It's for the
Gavilar's death?
Yeah. Do you know who the POV character is?
Hold on, don't tell me because I think I know. Hold on. Crap, I can't remember.
So it's Navani for Rhythm of War. So you've had Szeth, Jasna, Eshunai was in Oathbringer, Navani was the last book, or Rhythm of War.
Is it Gavilar? Oh, shit. Oh, that's going to be wild. And you've read it?
So I stopped. I was reading it and I stopped because it's Brandon Sanderson reading it. He like makes a YouTube video about it. And him reading.
Is it crazy?
Well, it got crazy. I was like, I got scared because he's like, he also says like things are subject to change. This was like a while back that he released this. But
wow, it's Gavilar. Oh my God.
I mean, how? At some point, there's gonna have to be a break in the story if he's gonna do 10, right?
I mean, you keep saying that. You keep thinking there's gonna be some huge time jump or something. I don't know. I mean, it's only been 6 months and 3 books. That's only been 6 months from the Way of Kings to Oathbringer.
There's a time jump between the next two.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's why Dawn Shard apparently. I mean, are we gonna read that now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, are we done with Oathbringer then?
We are. I mean,
overall, we loved it. I mean, I can't say. I mean, yeah, we can't talk about everything, but Loved it. We'll be jumping into Dawn Shard next, and then Rhythm of War. So be on the lookout for those. Outside of Sanderson, we have Dracula coming up. We're probably going to read Ender's Game here. We're probably going to read some Murderbot Diaries. We're going to read
I'm excited for Murderbot,
Napoleon by Andrew Roberts, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll do that around the time that the Ridley Scott movie starring Joaquin Phoenix on Napoleon comes out. So we'll have some more nonfiction sprinkled in there as well. But yeah, we're dialing in here for the rest of 2023. We got a lot of good stuff coming. So anyway, anything else, my guy? Nice.
Good book.
Good book. Oathbringer is one of the best books I've ever read. If you haven't started the Stormlight Archive, start it. And
if you haven't started Rhythm of War, you should read it for sure. That's my take. Jesse hasn't read it yet, but I'm excited to. Yeah, you gotta finish where we're at.
Nice.
Or where he's at least.
Indeed. All right. That's It's Lit Book Reviews. With me, as always, is Reese Witherspoon. I'm Angelina Jolie. We thank you for joining us yet again, and we'll see you again soon.
Peace.